Hey kids, it's time to get some SML podcast all up in that.
You were not playing VR, correct?
No, I was not. I might shit myself if I played the VR version.
Yeah.
What's up, everyone? This is the SML podcast. I am your host, Joe. Fun show lined up today. I think CJ is going to be dropping by later on after the beginning here. But joining me as a guest co-host right now, Cole Martin. Cole, welcome back to the show. How are you doing today?
Doing all right, thank you. How are you?
I'm wonderful, but we don't matter because we have an actual guest with us today.
Oh my God, yay.
I'm excited about this one. David Chen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well, thanks.
You are from Honor Code. You just released the game Narcosis. You scared the shit out of pretty much everybody I know who's played it. Do you feel good about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think you know, I think we're still in the exhausted state, so I think emotions are pretty hard to come by at this point. But yeah, no, we feel really good. I mean, the response has been really positive by and large to the game. We just shipped on Xbox yesterday, and we shipped on Steam about 6 weeks ago. And yeah, it's been really cool. Like, people are really enjoying it, and I think what's even better is that people are surprised by the game. It's not exactly what they're expecting, and that is really rewarding.
So for the people who don't know what Narcosis is, give us the sales pitch. What is Narcosis?
Yeah, so it's we call it a survival story. We actually take great pains not to call it a horror game, except for like in casual conversation. But it's a first-person narrative-driven adventure story, and the premise is very simple. You're an industrial diver. You're working on a deep-sea mining operation. And basically, you are experiencing the worst day at work imaginable. Basically, you know, at the beginning of the game, there's an undersea earthquake. You know, there's nothing sort of conspiratorial or nefarious. It's just a natural occurrence, and that sort of sets everything on upheaval. You end up stranded, and cut off from your colleagues, and basically, the goal of the game is to first make your way back to the habitat where you lived and worked, and then search for survivors and ultimately reach the surface.
I think what I enjoyed the most about Narcosis is how it is very much grounded in reality. Like, there's nothing supernatural to the game. There's no crazy monster out there chasing you. It is, for the most part, a very real feeling game.
Yeah, it's one of those funny things that, you know, we try to really stress that to people, like when they would write previews about the game, and I don't think it really clicked with a lot of people, but pretty much, like you said, everything is grounded in reality. The game takes place a couple years from now, and really the only sort of quote-unquote science fiction aspect is the idea of this, you know, deep-sea habitat. But the technology they're using, the resources they're mining, the geography, you know, everything is based as much on reality as possible. I mean, within reason, of course. And as you commented, you know, there's no monsters, right? So we, you know, we took some liberties with the fauna. I mean, you know, obviously these deep sea creatures would never actually attack you, you know.
You never know. Maybe they have rabies.
I guess I'm not actually an expert, but you know, it's like we, other than, you know, doing some things for, you know, the game's sake, really, we did try to keep it very much rooted in reality. We actually even found, or he found us, this guy who he seems to be like the world's leading amateur expert on deep sea habitats. Like, that's his thing.
Oh, wow.
He knows, like, you know, he can rattle off the top of his head, you know, what is the materials that they use to construct the space, or, you know, how many parts per millimeter of air, you know, gases per, you know, he just knows everything. that was a really bad explanation. But basically, he's a hardcore nautical aficionado and amateur horror author, and he reached out to us a couple years ago, and basically brought him on as a consultant, and that was pretty excellent actually. His name is Alex Bayman, and actually there's some other stuff we can talk about later. We can talk about the game, but he's really instrumental in really sort of helping us ground it in reality.
Did you guys do any kind of research with the game to like get things as accurate as possible, or was Alex like your guy?
You took my question.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, visual research, sure. We and like I said, the methane hydrate, which is the substance that they're actually farming or mining, is a real thing. It's one of several sort of super fuels that are actively being sought out by sort of governments and corporations right now. So I mean, yeah, there's a fair amount of research, but I think the other thing too is we actually created a really extensive, I guess, world Bible. What time did the sequence of events take place? What do they call all these tools and vehicles and pieces of equipment? A lot of these things never made it in the game, but we have actually a pretty detailed sort of the timeline. Like when was this initiative first announced? What was the company that announced it? All these. I should probably dig up the document because I'm kind of rambling, but yeah, we did create a ton of information that is not in the game, but that definitely sort of helped us.
I'm glad you mentioned the World Bible, because there is actually one little like Easter egg snafu where your timelines are off. And I saw some other people had mentioned it when I was researching the game after I beat it. And there's one instance, because I was like, no, there has to be something significant with that. There's one instance where security cameras say that the year is 2021.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Someone pointed it out to us.
2019. Yep. And I was like, there has to be some significance. Why is it wrong?
Someone did point that out to us.
Fabulous idea for it to be wrong, but it's a hiccup.
No, that was a mistake and one we couldn't really fix. But by and large, we try to keep it pretty consistent.
That just ruins the game for me. I don't think I can carry on with this.
Yeah. No, it's funny because other people were trying to figure out if there was some hidden meaning to that too, which is interesting.
That was the whole reason I Googled it. I was like, no, there's got to be something. Why are the cameras 2 years off? I don't understand. But it's still nice. It's a hiccup, but it's an interesting little thing to. And I found out a lot of other stuff about the game when I Googled it. Like, I didn't know you guys had a World Bible. I just what is this World Bible thing? But I found out all that kind of stuff when I was looking to see why were the dates off. So
you're really fixated on that one thing, huh?
Cole doing research.
Hey, look, I come informed. I say fuck a lot, but I come informed.
I say fuck a lot, and I'm not informed. So that's where we differ.
That's why we work so well on this.
Train somewhere.
Motion sickness.
I'm just going to send you a little link to something you might not. I don't know if you've uncovered this in your search, but you can check that out at your leisure. Talking about sort of like the little details about the times and years, actually, it's pretty interesting because there are a ton of little visual Easter eggs planted away in the game that I don't think anybody has come across yet. Both there's some stuff that'll pop up. That's gonna spoil it, I guess, a little bit. But like, if you hang out in the pause menu for a long time, some things will happen. And
every time there's a pause menu for too long, I just died.
Right.
And I was like, the pause menu is a lie. I got robbed by the pause menu a few times.
Yeah, and there's a ton of there's several references to other independent games in there, and then it's funny because I've been telling people this a lot, but no one seems to have really picked up on it. Is that there's a lot of kind of trippy stuff in the posters, in the and a lot of the decoration in the worlds.
I wondered if there was any significance in those.
Was it in the
But I don't
Xbox
think
Live?
because they weren't numbers. I'm a numbers person. I'm sorry.
Was it during the Xbox stream earlier today where you mentioned that all the posters in the game are like references to other games?
Yeah, in you know, when we were so this is going to be a little bit long-winded, but like, you know, one of the challenges we had was that, you know, when you're exploring these habitats, they're not supposed to be derelict, abandoned spaces, right? I mean, they're supposed to have been functioning and inhabited like hours before you get there. And so it was like really a challenge to sort of like create the sense of life, you know, when we couldn't rely on like cobwebs and, you know, shattered, you know, like sort of the typical horror trappings, you know, of an environment. Like it's not a abandoned hospital or whatever. And so, you know, we were like really struggling with ways to just like create a sense of life and like a sense that it was really inhabited. And so one of the ideas we had, because, you know, we had really limited resources, was like we met all these other independent developers at various events and shows over the years. And so basically I emailed a bunch of them. I was like, hey, you know, do you have any cool art we can just put in the game? And I mean, most of them are totally willing to oblige. So like there's a bunch of board games, for example, in the cafeteria that are, you know, based on other independent games that are out there now. There's some posters on the walls that are, you know, we treated them like not like we turned one image from this game Diluvian into a wine poster. You know, those
nice.
like sort of those wine posters with the, you know, the clown with the pasta and stuff like that. You know, you know, like we did stuff like that. Like it's very simple and it was very inexpensive to do, and just having this unique artwork that wasn't in line with the rest of our environments really sort of helped create a better sense of, you know, immersion, for lack of a better word. But yeah, there's all sorts of stickers and decals and stuff from various games, and you know, some are friends of ours, and others are just people we met.
That's really cool. I love when developers just throw that kind of stuff in games.
Right. Since you mentioned that everybody was alive, obviously, and living in these spaces before the catastrophe happens. What was the hamster's name? If he was alive and there's a world Bible, did he have a name?
He didn't have a name. It's actually, you know, it's so funny because like I'm a little surprised by how many people see the hamster, to be honest. Did you see the Playgirl style magazine?
No, see, I missed that. That's not something I would have caught my eye as much as a dead hamster did. So. Yeah. There's like a, you know, a magazine with like a...
Oh my lord.
Yeah,
the girl
we actually had to go back and forth with the ESRB on that one. Because they're like, do you have any sexual content in the game? And I was like, no. And I was like, well, we do have this magazine with like this, you know, man's like rippling abs on the front, you know. Like, and so I had to go take screenshots of that and send it to them. They're like, I think we can let that slide. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I missed that, but you know, I wanted to know the hamster story. Why wasn't there a dossier on the hamster?
Yeah.
That's actually kind of surprising because you've gone into so much depth and detail with even all the different crew members that you encounter through the game. Like everybody has distinct names and backgrounds and histories. Like how long did that take to get everything together?
And are those based on real people?
Those are really good questions, and it's kind of nice to be able to talk about this because I mean, I don't know if you know. I mean, I was actually the writer on the game. So most of that stuff is the, you know, that
didn't write the
officially
hamster?
My job was the writer. Yeah, but I didn't add the hamster, so it took a long time. I mean, it took a long time to figure out the voice we wanted to use for we call them relics and postmortems, like the sort of little files that you uncover. And you know, I think you'll notice they're written in a really, I mean, a sort of unusual way. You know, I mean, one of the interesting things that I hadn't really anticipated was that, you know, on YouTube and Twitch, everyone stops and reads all this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And I didn't really write them intending for them to be spoken out loud. So like the sentences are really convoluted and kind of like weird, you know. and also like a lot of the characters' names are not really pronounceable to the average like North American gamer. Because once again, I was like, oh, no one's ever going to say these names, so we can have some cool different names, you know. And so like hearing all these people try to mangle all these, you know, Nigerian and you know, French names and stuff is pretty funny. I just totally wasn't anticipating that. But it took a while. I mean, you know, like there's not a lot of words in the game. Well, you unlock a lot more at the end. I don't know if you caught that part, but like I said, we wanted to find the voice, and we wanted to make them significant. You know, a lot of times, I mean, sort of finding little documents and journals is pretty ubiquitous in games. And like, you know, a lot of times it sort of feels kind of rote. You know, it's like, it's sort of like trying to create this sense of, you know, these characters in the world, but like it, you know, but it feels kind of like obligatory. And so we really try to do something different and find a different voice with that. And try to like create you know, something a little more thought provoking and a little more interesting, and you know, things all tie together, but in a very loose way. You know, it's not like, oh, if you find 7 of the 10 documents, then, you know, you can piece together this, you know, this mystery per se. It's more just like, you know, there are all these little slices of life and sort of observations, you know, on the character's behalf.
There's a benefit to that though, because you don't have to find every piece to enjoy what you have. You're not missing some major story arc if you don't pick up a relic or a postmortem. Yeah, you're gonna, you know, wish you had that little extra detail here or there. I think I've been 2 in my first playthrough, and I was like, well, now I gotta go back and find them because I want to know what happened to these guys, like I did everybody else. And why wasn't there one for the hamster? But
yeah, and also like, you know, we tried to make them like they're not. We tried to make them not formulaic, right? It wasn't like as you notice, like some of them he's not really even talking about that character at all. You know, it's more just like this object or this, you know, this instance, like, you know, sparks a memory or a thought that this guy has, and so it wasn't like wasn't necessarily about trying to make you feel more empathy for these dead bodies per se, but more like empathy for your character, if that makes any sense. That sounds like really pretentious, but it's actually true.
It does fit though. Like there were times where you would read the description and you'd be like, "Oh well, that's he you know, associates it with seeing them do this or seeing them do that." And it, like you said, it was more about the character you have control of over the characters that they were actually associated with.
Yeah, because like, you know, I think we knew, like obviously, like, you know, we're a tiny team and like limited resources, but like I think the main thing is like we didn't want to try to like force you to care about these dead characters per se, but we still want to say something meaningful. Yeah, they're dead. You know, they're already dead. So you don't get attached to a character
that's already just kind of, you know, fish food.
Right.
But
right. So yeah, it was like we didn't want to try to force that because I don't think that we could have been successful. You know, like, and so yeah. I mean, you know, we're definitely pretty pleased with how. Definitely, that stuff was a pain in the ass for the localizers, though, because it is so sort of quirky, you know.
I didn't know if Cole had any other questions. I don't want to jump in when she has like legitimate good questions, and I'm just going to ask dumb shit.
I have legitimate questions for a change. Yay!
Yay! Latino Heat in the chat actually asked a question. He asked, "Will there be DLC for the game, or even a Part 2 sequel, anything like that?" I know that was addressed on the Xbox stream earlier. And if you play the game and complete the game, you'll kind of know the answer to it, but we'll go for the official word here.
Yeah, I mean, no, there's no plans for DLC. It's, you know, we set out to tell a very specific story. Do you know what I mean? I mean, like we joked a long, you know, at least I joked a long time ago. It's like, you know, as far as building new IP, we're not doing a very good job because there's no way you can do a sequel to this game. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, once again, like it's tough to get into this, but like, you know, there's a very obvious parallel that would ostensibly work for a DLC. A lot of people suggest that, but I think if you really think it through, it wouldn't be nearly as interesting or surprising as going through this the first time around.
It's so hard to discuss when you don't want to give away the ending.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
such
like,
a
I had
weird
to sit
thing
on that ending for 3 years. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like, we would show the game to... Sorry, what's that?
Sorry. I'm blaming lag there. What is the usual reaction to, like, players when they get to that end? Do they get mad at you, or are they shocked, or... Like, do they just go, oh my god, well, how could you do it that way, or...
No, actually, we did discuss at some point, and people have just, when we would tell people the plans, like, some people would say, hey, you got to be careful, because, like, people would be really angry at you. Yeah. Which I was a little surprised by, but no, I don't, like, let me put it this way, like, I've watched a lot of YouTube videos in the last 6 weeks, and the things that are really encouraging are, nobody sees it coming, even though, like, some people, like, I know there's a really big twist at the end, and somehow they don't. I guess this is kudos to, like, the whole team that we, whatever we did worked. Nobody sees it coming, and people are, like, genuinely affected by it. Whether they're like, oh, that's really fucked up and twisted, like, that's one really strong reaction. But, like, I mean, this is totally telling the truth. Like, about 15 minutes before we got on the call with you, I was just scrolling through some just YouTube videos, and there's this girl was weeping at the end.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was literally crying. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But I put the controller down, and I was like, I don't know how to process this.
Yeah. So we get
my
that.
Heart sank.
One guy, I got an email like a couple weeks ago from, I'm going to say he's a kid. I don't know if he's a kid, but he wrote, and he was like, hey, I just want to let you know, I don't have the money to play your game. But I watched a YouTube of it, and I was crying at the end of it. Do you know what I mean? And he wrote a very long email just explaining sort of why and his thoughts about the game and stuff like that. And, like, that was incredible. Like, I was confident that we were telling a really cool story, but, like, the fact that even one person out there felt that strongly about it is pretty rewarding.
Did you send him a Steam key?
I did, actually, yeah.
Nice.
I did.
Happy ending.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, no, not happy, because then he's going to cry again when he gets to the end on his own. God damn it, Joe.
You just know how to mess everything up.
Right?
But no, I mean, seriously though, it was really cool. Like, I mean, like, that you don't hear that very often about many games. And once again, like I said at the beginning, like, it's not what people are expecting.
Yeah, when I saw the ending, I was like, wow, I didn't expect it. And then you have to sit and think, like, what if that was you?
Yeah. Yep.
It's a testament to a game that's well done when you just, at the end, when you have a rush of emotion like that, because that means you've connected to that character. You give a fuck about what happens to them, good or bad. Yeah. And not every game accomplishes that. I mean, we play a shit ton of indies and stuff, and there's a lot of them we just go, okay, well, next. No, right. This one, like, I put the controller down, and then I went to bed that night, and I looked at my husband, I was like, I know you'll never play it because you don't play anything remotely scary, but let me tell you everything that happened to this game and why I'm traumatized by it. And so I proceeded to keep him up for 2 hours to tell him, I'm like, this is what happened, and this is why I'm going to lay here, and I'm just going to be like, all night.
You know what? I just realized I should have... I was just about to say, I mean, a huge part of what you're talking about is testament to the voice actor, Jeff Mattas.
He does a good job.
He did an incredible job. And I just realized I should have had him join in on the call, too.
Call him up, get him in.
Yeah, if you give me 1 second, I'm going to text him and see if he can hop on.
Cool.
I'll tell you more about it. Give me 1 second.
So how you doing?
I'm okay.
That ending. Holy God, that
I'm thinking about that ending again, and now I'm just like...
Like, the cool thing about the ending is that, as cool as it can be for the subject matter, that's something that's going to just stick with you. And, like, you're going to be, months from now, you're gonna like be playing Rock Band, or I'm gonna be playing Rock Band and playing
Yeah,
something
I
else,
shouldn't
and
have
then
the
you'll just
stupid age.
think and be like, "Oh my god."
Remember that time in Narcosis?
And then
That'll
you just
be
like
me.
stop and cry in the
I'll
middle.
be reviewing something like 9 months from now, and I'll be like, "Oh my god, Narcosis!" No,
Well, Horse Racing 2017 was really ending.
I broke something. God damn it! I'm sorry, we interrupted you. We were having a moment.
No, I was off furiously texting Jeff to try to get him to hop on. So he was actually, I don't know if he was actually a podcaster for a show called Weekend Confirmed. Back in the day, which was Shack News podcast, I believe.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so I mean, like I've waxed pretty enthusiastic about him for a long time, but he actually worked with us for maybe 3 years on this VO, and he actually ended up co-writing a lot of it with me. I mean, like literally getting into this character, you know what I mean? Like, oh, he would say this, he wouldn't say this. This is how he would say this, and you know, he, if it weren't for him, you know, a lot of the more emotional aspects of the game would not have worked. And like, you know, so like literally I would call him and be like, hey, I wrote this line. Can you go in your closet and record it on your phone 5 times? You know, and then he would go and do that, and he would send it back. And then I'd be like, okay, I like the way you did number 3, but you know, I like the way you said this word on this one. I mean, literally he was willing to do, you know, that level of like, you know, craft. And so he like, you know, he was a pretty incredible part of at least the narrative aspect of the game. You know, it wasn't like, I mean, you know, we did get in the studio twice, and you know, but a lot of the stuff in the game is literally just like, I want you to go back and, yeah, once again, like get in the closet where it's quiet and just record this line, you know, just say this one word this way. And then
I just love the fact that the voice acting was recorded in a closet on a phone.
I can.
Yeah, well, we also did it in the studio too.
No, don't tell the studio part. Just stick with.
Yeah, no, I found a local video game school, like a arts and sort of digital arts school. And so, you know, they have all the latest and greatest gear. And so they were kind enough to, like, you know, let us sort of record there. And then the woman who plays the other semi-spoiler, but plays the other character, whose voice you hear is actually a public radio host. Which is crazy because that's
such an exceptional job.
It's such a soothing voice too.
Yeah.
And so like she knew exactly what I wanted. And she also is coincidentally like a hardcore game fanatic. She actually has a podcast of her own called Level Up. That's dedicated to game audio. Like that's her thing is classical music and video game audio. So it was pretty funny. Like when I called her up, I mean, once again, this is years ago, you know, she's like, oh yeah, that sounds great. I'd love to play your game. I was like, no. You know, it's like, I want you to do this, you know? And so, yeah, she was able to nail everything I asked her to do, like, you know, perfectly, because she knew exactly what I was going for.
That's really cool. So how long, you said the game has been in the works for 3 years?
Oh man, it's been in the works for a long time. It started as a student project, with the rest of my team, who were all in France. And they were all graduates of this pretty prestigious video game school in France. And that was in 2013, maybe?
Oh, wow.
And so Narcosis was actually their student project, like their final semester, or, you know, whatever the equivalent is. And so basically, I mean, the short version is they all went on to get jobs in the game industry. And they were trying to make this game on sort of their spare time. And so I met them very randomly because they were looking for someone to help out the writing. And then things sort of snowballed. You know, we because I'm in the Bay Area, so, you know, I took the game to GDC, and one of them flew over, and we literally just hung out in hotel lobbies with a laptop and the very first generation Oculus, and just basically showed the game to anyone who would pay attention. And then things just went from there. And so at a certain point, we were, you know, we gained the confidence to, you know, basically everyone quit their day jobs and hopped on this ship full time. But I think I started working with them late in 2014, and we were expecting the game to be done in 2015. We're like, oh yeah, so we had,
Hey, you were close.
Spring of 2015. Yeah, and then 2016, and then yeah.
It released back in March on Steam?
Yeah.
And for the people who don't know, the Steam version does have VR compatibility. It does have a VR mode to it. Was it developed in VR from the very beginning, I'm guessing?
No, because when we started, there was no such thing. Or no, not such thing as VR, but the Oculus Kickstarter hadn't even happened yet.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? So, oh wait, here he is. What's the podcast? And should I call you via Skype? So if I give you his name, can you?
Yeah,
add him
it's possible that you could just add him to the call.
Oh yeah, hold on one second.
What's the show? The SML podcast. Is it any good?
Yeah, he deserves to be here. So let's see. Now I have to tell him what he's doing. I should probably send him the link to what's going on here.
Yes, you should. Hello.
Hey, man, how are you?
Good.
Hello, and welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Hi.
Yeah, surprise. Yeah. I was just waxing enthusiastic about you, Jeff, and then I was like, oh wait, holy shit, I should just have him join in. So we're talking with Joe and Cole of the SML podcast, and
fantastic.
They seem to be into it. I was sort of telling them how we met and how you contributed so much to writing, and we're talking about making people cry.
That seems to be happening.
So let's just start. Do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us who you are and what you do. We'll get all official with this.
Sure. I am Jeff Mattas. I am a voice actor / writer on Narcosis specifically, but hopefully on some more stuff in the future. And we made a game, and people are playing it now.
Your voice sounds very familiar.
It's so weird.
Yes, I'm a weekend confirmed. Yeah.
I've listened to this voice for like 3 days, and now I'm just like.
Well, yeah, I mean the funny thing is I have a little garage studio, and the only other guy who's in North America is we basically spent every day out here last year. I mean, not exaggerating, like 6.5 days a week, and we would have the game running on multiple screens and systems, so we would literally just be hearing Jeff / Kip just droning on like all day long, you know what I mean, like, and also the heavy breathing, or like and then so sometimes we would be having conference calls with Jeff talking about the VO while his voice is playing in the background. It was pretty surreal.
They're nice and sick of me by now, I'm sure.
You have a very soothing voice, really. Like when you ignore all like the disturbing aspects of the game, it's a very relaxing voice.
Oh, thanks. No, it is pretty close to my natural cadence, obviously, but the character that I play is an engineer, and we made a decision relatively early on that he was going to be very pragmatic, not a very emotional guy, and so a lot of the delivery was sort of designed around that idea that there was an element of human detachment that he had naturally.
The game even mentions that he sounds disconnected.
Yes.
At one point, they make the comment, "You seem disconnected," which is also kind of a tip off to what happens at the end. The spoiler, like you don't catch it when he says it in the game, but at the end you're just like, wait. I get it.
Yeah,
now.
when it comes to empathy, there's no manual for that.
Right. There sure is.
Yeah, and also another thing. I mean, once again, this is hard to talk about without sort of spoiling it, but like, the nature of this narration of VO changes, like your sort of understanding of what it is changes throughout the game. And so, but as you know, there's like a very, very specific underlying foundation. And so we had to like really delicately find the right sort of line between because a lot of times we're like, no human being would speak like this, right? And so then sort of the knock-on effect from that was like, okay, well, what kind of human being would speak like this? And that's, I mean, it sounds like almost like too pat in retrospect, but that's literally how this character came to exist.
Yeah, we were hoping that the perspective that the player would have of the VO would gradually change over the course of the game, and there are a few key points where, you know, we throw a little curveball and sometimes a big curveball, and the sort of dialogue that we chose, or the monologue stuff that we chose, was sort of indicative of that, those changes and that progression. So.
Yeah, I mean, literally every word that you hear in the game is like, I would say it's there for a reason, but like I mean, like I said, maybe it comes out to like what, 20 minutes of VO total, but like we worked on that stuff for years. I mean, because we had the luxury of doing so, you know what I mean? Like, but we really just like literally take out this word or add a pregnant pause here, or, you know, and then there's also like subtle clues and hints in some of the, you know, sort of the phrases he uses or the things he says, and you know, we had to figure out a way to sort of introduce those at the right time in the game. You know, so it's like, once again, like there's not really that much VO in the game, but you would be shocked to know sort of how much calculation went into exactly how it plays out.
But it's impressive, and that's how that leads to that emotional ending. I think it plays a major part. Like, visuals and stuff are important, but if the game didn't have the voice the way that it is, and if you hadn't taken such care with the monologues and the dialogue, it would not have had that same emotional tug where you're just like, you know, excuse me while I go find a corner and sob for 3 days. You know, the way that it's acted and the way that it's written, that is the major component that leads to that moment. And
I'm just curious if Jeff is able to say something in character poignant enough to make Cole cry during the show.
Talk about the hamster. No, you weren't here for that, but she's really hung up on the hamster. Yeah, let's
the nameless hamster.
Yeah, that was a very sad ending for that hamster. You know, sometimes hamsters, you know, they catch a bad run of luck, and that particular hamster certainly, you know, he found out if he could float.
Oh God.
Yeah, actually, I mean that reminds me of another thing.
So much worse if that hamster was floating across that room. Oh Jesus!
Oh my Lord.
We actually recorded a bunch of. I mean, once again, like you guys know what we're talking about, but like we recorded a bunch of improv stuff in the studio, where literally we would ask. We wrote down a bunch of questions on a piece of paper and like literally just read these questions from the booth into Jeff and just had him try to sort of like riff off those in character. You know, it was pretty amazing. I mean, there's
something
about believe how much we wrote and recorded.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. Yeah, a ton of stuff that we pared down and hopefully polished to a nice sheen. But yeah, that improv stuff was you know, a pretty fun exercise. I studied acting at UCLA, and so it had been a while since I'd done any true improv, and but it definitely was a really fun sort of exercise in you know, exploring the character a bit deeper. I think the only thing I really remember from that was there was a question about, you know, what are you doing now, sort of after all this stuff, and there was a bit about
surfing lessons.
Surfing, yes.
Yeah, I'm taking surfing lessons. Yeah.
Right.
Can we get like that could be your DLC? It would be the Lost Kip files, and it would just be recording the improv.
Well, I don't know if you clicked that link I Skyped you a little while ago.
Oh.
I'm like, I so want to see just surfing DLC for the game now.
It's
not a first-person game. It's the DLC is not first-person. It's not adventure. It's, you know, no horror, no mystery. It's just surfing. It's a surfing game.
Style. Yeah.
I heard they closed the beaches recently in Southern California because they saw I don't know if it's a school or what you call a group of sharks, but it was like 15 great white sharks are sort of patrolling the West Coast right now. So maybe that would be a good surfing with the sharks DLC.
So Cole, did you click that link I shared with you?
It's on Skype. I can't because I'm on my phone and I'm on the bathroom.
It is a digital novel for Hell or High Water: Surviving Oceanova. 3 years later, a small crew of miners and researchers made their home over 1,000 miles from shore, 2 miles beneath the sea. Ooh.
Oh, I am so reading that when I get out of here.
It's not a novel. It's an actual account.
Oh.
Oh. Wow.
Oh man. Now I'm gonna have to get that.
Yeah, I'm clicking that link when I get out of here. Holy.
Is there an audio book version narrated by Jeff?
We talked about that, but it's like 90 pages, man. It's like, I mean, it's a full book.
I pay for something. I'd pay good money for that. I'm a cheapskate, but I'd pay for that.
All right.
Yeah, you should check it out when you get a chance. It's pretty. It's pretty over the top. But once again, sort of dancing around, spoiler territory. But
it's so hard to talk about this stuff because of the ending to the game. Let's go back to talking about the hamster. Jeff, did you give the hamster a name?
The hamster's a spoiler because he didn't make it.
I just default to Hammy. I mean, that seems to be the go-to for hamsters.
Pork chop.
Pork chop.
Pork chop. Pork chop the hamster. You can live with that.
Oh, actually, we were talking earlier about sort of the artwork and the paintings and all that stuff. Actually, Jeff's lovely wife Brandy has a couple paintings in the game.
Yeah, she sure
They're
does.
sort of adorn the walls and they're stuck on refrigerators and stuff like that.
It's
once again, like, what's that?
Oh, I was just gonna say it's under her maiden name, so it's Brandy Orvis on in the actual posters. But those are her couple of one of her pieces of art in a couple of different spots there. Very cool.
Any certain ones that we could keep an eye out for, or certain locations that?
I believe there's one in if you look in Kip's bedroom. Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the crew quarters.
Yeah. But so once again, that's the independent thing, right? Like, we didn't have the resources to go. We didn't have the time to go create a bunch of paintings, right? Just to decorate these walls. Like, that's not a good use of our time. I mean, obviously the game was, so much longer. It took so much longer just to make the game. But, once again, like, it's like reaching out to these other independent developers. It's like, oh, hey, we know a painter. We have a personal connection with this person. Why don't we ask her? If we can use her work in the game, and once again, by virtue of having something that is not in the same style as the rest of the environments, it really makes it feel more human.
Yeah,
because it's a real painting. It's not like a painting we had made to put in this game. It's just a real thing that's there, that exists.
There's actually a lot of cool stuff like that in the game. Little referential, I don't know if you want to call them Easter eggs, but it's mostly, little very subtle call outs to other, related works of undersea terror and stuff like that, that are kind of cheekily referenced in different artifacts that you can find in different posters and artwork and that sort of stuff.
Do you guys have favorite Easter eggs?
There's a ton of them. I'm kind of patiently. Well, actually, there's one really, really big one related to the audio on the soundtrack that still no one has picked up on, even though it's presented very plainly in the game. But not a single person has picked up on that one, so we're kind of waiting to see how that one shakes out. It's a pretty big deal, actually. And then, like I said, if you sneak a peek at the posters, really there's a lot of weird and trippy things in there.
Well, there goes my weekend. I'm gonna go find that.
Some music lyrics. There's some songs in there, like if you're into indie rock and stuff like that. There's some stuff in there.
Oh I think my favorite, I don't know if this is technically an Easter egg considering it's an achievement to earn in the game, but the rim shot achievement is hilarious.
Yeah.
What made you just put in an achievement like that in this game? In such a serious game, just that moment of levity, like... Why?
I couldn't exactly say. I mean, I think it was more struggling to come up with achievements, right?
And you have a very unique achievement list. Like most games, it's like complete X chapter, complete this, finish the game. Right. There's like none of that in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was really like more a matter of necessity because, like, you know, I mean, to be perfectly honest, like the game is pretty light on features and mechanics. Right, you know what I mean. It's not, you know, it's more of an experience. You know, as much of an experience as it is a game, and so a lot of those things came out of really, like puzzling out. You know, well, here's all the pieces we have to play with. What's something we can do with them? Do you know what I mean? Because, you know, like I mean, even the inherent nature of being in this suit and you move so slowly, you know, that automatically lops off a lot of, and you have this constant constraint of oxygen depleting. You know, that in itself lops off a lot of, you know, chances to be a little more creative with that kind of stuff. So it was nothing, I think it was really more out of desperation, to be honest.
When I first started
here are the
playing
4 or 5 things you could do in the game. Yeah.
When I first started playing the game, there weren't achievements at all for it. There wasn't even like, sometimes they're hidden if you're playing too early and then they pop anyway. But there wasn't anything. And so like part of the fun is you're playing through and you're like, oh, what are they going to make achievements out of? And so I'm sitting there going, a game like this, I'm fully expecting change your oxygen tank 25 times. And, you know,
Oh, yeah.
that's what people tend to go for when it's experience game. They try to find something that you're already going to do, but have to do a lot.
Right.
Right.
So
it was nice when it was like, oh, just, you know, don't get hit by the cuttlefish or you know, find this.
Goddamn cuttlefish. Jeez.
Cuttlefish. They just want hugs, Joe.
They just want to hug your face.
Chop the hamster too, okay? They need hugs. I'm not going to let the hamster go.
He's really just one bite for a cuttlefish. I mean, just a mouthful.
Yeah.
You know.
You know, sometimes we need as a snack. He's in that little plastic thingy, though. Ain't no cuttlefish getting to him. He's just not even giving back to the circle of life. He's a lazy hamster, even in death.
Circle of life.
Well, he's also hermetically sealed in that little thing, right?
Yeah,
You know.
But a pioneer. I mean, you know, first hamster that far deep. It's, you know, that's impressive.
Hamster's a hero. Hammy is a hero.
A lazy hero, but a hero.
Yes, the unsung hero, and I'm glad we're singing about him a little bit.
Actually, this might sound almost a little grotesque, but you know, I was telling you about this Aquanaut consultant, you know, writer that we worked with.
Yeah.
He actually has constructed a submerged hamster habitat.
Really?
Yeah. So it's basically like a giant fish tank
animals?
with a hamster inside this you know, playpen thing. So it lives underwater.
Life?
Oh yeah, they're totally live. Yeah, and you know,
Okay.
he told me completely unironically. He's like, you know, this is probably the closest I'll get to simulating that experience. So you know, this is why I'm doing it.
The hamster suit was a little hard to build, but no, I'm just kidding.
The walking coffin.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hamster sized. Now, if anybody asks what my art project is for this week, I'm going to be like, oh, I'm going to draw a hamster in a walking coffin. It must happen now.
That's funny.
I'm
Actually,
sorry.
that reminds me of one thing.
I keep derailing this.
How many
Speaking of
interviews have you
rodents-
done for this game that have focused so heavily on the fucking hamster?
This would be the first.
Yes. Making history, SML podcast.
That's right. Pioneering as we go.
We are heroes just like Hammy itself.
That's what happens when you let crazy redneck come along for the interview. I'm sorry.
Hey, it keeps things fun. So jumping back, before Jeff joined in, we were mentioning the VR compatibility. Were you guys what led to you bringing it to Xbox One first, as opposed to like the PlayStation 4 that has a VR unit with it?
Yeah, there is no good answer to this question. I have to answer it a lot. And basically what I would say is, we made a lot of missteps and poor judgment calls along the way, and not pushing harder to do PlayStation was probably like the most regrettable. But there's a couple things. One is that, like I said, when we started this game, the game as you played it, this week is basically as we envisioned it from the beginning. And once again, that's before Oculus even was a thing we'd heard of. So we always try to make it clear from the beginning that it wasn't a VR only game, and that's definitely come back to hurt us, because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I would love to play it, but I don't have VR. But as far as not working with some, like people are like accusing us of being paid by Microsoft and blah blah blah, all these things, sort of armchair industry experts. But basically, the very uninteresting and sort of embarrassing answer is that we're a tiny team. We weren't able to handle the consoles internally because we only had 2 engineers, and so we had to hit up a friend, Damian, to tackle consoles. And he wouldn't be able to do both. And he had a little more familiarity with the Xbox operating system, and so that just seemed like the right choice. But once again, that's even before some of these decisions were already sort of in place before we even knew there was such thing as a Morpheus or a PSVR. So yeah, that's the very, very dull and sort of limp-wristed answer, but
I'm glad that it worked out that way, because we are Xbox fans on this show. We cover everything, but our hearts are with Xbox. So
yeah, I'm grateful I got to play it.
Yeah, it's funny too, because we this was not like part of the decision-making process, but we sort of hoped that by saying it was coming to Xbox One, it would sort of be inherently understood that it's not a VR only game.
Yeah.
But people just, they hear what they only oftentimes hear half the story. A lot of my close friends who work in the video game business still think it's only for VR. No matter how many times I post on Facebook that it's not. It's just like, that's just, so they hear.
Just start punching people when they say that. I want to play it, but I don't have VR.
Because of the first person, experience aspect, that they just see that and they go, oh, it's meant for VR.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, once again, we didn't plan for it, and obviously, like, it was like a double-edged sword, because, like, being able to demo the game at such an early state when VR was in its infancy, or like commercial VR was in its infancy, like, definitely gave us an advantage, because people, like, even if they didn't care about the game, they wanted to come play, just a slap on the headset. But at the same time, we definitely struggled making it clear that, it certainly didn't require it, and that we had a lot of conviction. As you guys know, there's a lot more to the game than sort of the audio-visual aspect. There's these other elements that are, equally meaningful with or without VR.
Yeah.
But once again, those are things we couldn't really talk about in advance.
I do appreciate the fact that this seems like one of those games that in VR, it works really well because of the slow speed of the game. So people won't have to worry about, the weird butterflies that you get when you're moving in VR without really moving.
I was going to ask about the puke rating, because we've heard people say there's puke ratings in VR development, and how badly does the movement make you want to hurl?
Totally anecdotally, like, I would say our game tends to be have less of an impact than most, say, first-person games where you're walking around. But the thing with we actually met with this Oculus researcher, and the way he explained it to us was VR sickness is sort of like seasickness, which is like out of 10 people, 2 people will never experience seasickness ever. 4 people will have seasickness, but if they get on a boat enough times, that it'll eventually, sort of get acclimated to it. and 4 people will get seasick being on a boat, no matter how many times they're on a boat.
Joe.
You know.
See, there's some VR games and some first-person games that I have no problems with, and then there's others that it's just, I don't know if it's the field of view, or the just the way the game controls and moves that throws me off and gives me motion sickness. Something as weird as Disney Infinity gave me motion sickness.
Right.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, all this stuff is in its infancy. You know what I mean? And so, like, you know, everyone's still trying to figure all this stuff out, right?
Yeah.
But the other thing too is like the nature of motion sickness or VR disorientation is it creeps up on you. You can't like run a focus group and be like, oh, at what moment did you feel nauseous? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it just
like
happens.
You know, it builds up slowly. Yeah. So that's, you know, it's a really hard thing. I mean, you know, certainly we're no experts, and once again, you know, like we don't really consider ourselves VR developers. You know, we just happen to have a game that really worked, you know, was well suited to VR, and that we, you know, but let me I would put it this way, like we never modified anything in the game to suit VR.
All right.
Know, none of the decisions we made were to support VR. And so actually what's been really interesting is that, you know, as far as sort of the media and the press goes, you know, a lot of the sort of like the VR acolytes, the ones who are like, that's their pure thing, like a lot of our worst reviews come from VR websites and blogs. Because they're looking at the game on a different level.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, oh, you don't support motion control. You know, oh, you're not using this technology or this, you know, this technique that other pioneering VR developers doing. So we're going to knock points off.
That's not the point of the game.
Yeah. I mean, no, you know, it's not like bitter grapes or anything, but it's been very interesting because, like, you know, for a game that has been closely associated with VR, it's been interesting that, like, really, like, most of our negative feedback comes from people who are VR first, gamers second.
Yeah.
Right.
So when the game makes the jump to PlayStation, is PSVR something that you would look into?
Yeah, of course. I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's the logical thing.
Yeah.
And once again, like this is I'm definitely not in my, you know, comfort zone here. Like, but, you know, as I understand it, I think it would be a little more challenging, because the PSVR hardware is not quite as powerful or robust as the Vive or the Oculus.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like magnitude slower, but like, you know, having talked to our engineers, they said it would not, you know, it wouldn't be easy, but of course we would love to do it. But it's not, it's despite the sort of conventional wisdom or common belief, you know, even though you're using Unity, you can't just spit out a PlayStation build. You know?
Just a PlayStation button that you push and it happens.
Yeah, exactly. It just doesn't work like that. So
it's like it's the same button that you have to flip. It's right next to the one where it's like online gameplay. You just click that checkbox.
Exactly.
It works. It just works magically.
Yeah.
It's that easy.
Yeah. You know, in-game, you know, monetary system. You know.
Add multiplayer button, you know.
Yeah. So easy. It's so easy. So I'm looking forward to the 8-man online multiplayer PSVR version of the game when it releases.
Right. Yeah, it's just like a bunch of dudes walking very slowly.
towards the singular escape pod. Actually, that'd be kind of a cool totally different game.
Or towards the singular surfboard.
Yes.
While being chased by sharks. And cuttlefish.
You have to
one cuttlefish just randomly jumps around on people's heads. You don't know if you get the cuttlefish.
And there's like hidden characters that you could be, including Hammy.
In his walking coffin. All of that aside, is there anything in the game that you wish you could change or that you would put in that you didn't get to? That was a loaded one, wasn't it? After all that about the hamster, I dropped a bomb. I'm sorry.
The answer is yes. I don't know. I mean, Jeff, like you go first, Jeff. I mean, obviously you're not like on the development team, so like, you know, as a gamer, what would you, what would you have liked to have seen differently?
Well, so I maybe I'm not the best person to ask, because I've been I came at this from a standpoint of how can we tell the best possible story we can, and obviously deliver a voice performance that people dug, but it was really about, I think in terms of the story that we told, we did a pretty good job of not getting too far off track, of doing a nice slow burn to some surprises and some atmosphere, and really trying to get
very
inside,
diplomatic.
Yeah, get inside the player's head. But yeah, I mean, shoot, like if I'd really have to think about that in terms of really take a step back and like a 10,000 foot view of everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's more like putting on your game critic
want
hat.
that multiplayer now, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so one of the criticisms that I've noticed, on that note, is sort of that we're not a pure walking simulator. So it's not just walking around looking at stuff. There is some, player agency and oxygen and a little bit of really light combat and things like that. And I think that had we had the opportunity to flesh some of the mechanical things out a bit more and make it more of a gamey game, that might have resonated with some of the people that are sort of that it's not jiving with as much. But really, that's not the point. I mean, it's an atmospheric survival adventure game with horror elements. So I think it sort of succeeds at what it's trying to do. But you can always take everything to another level, I guess. But I'm pretty happy with what we made.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's everything Jeff just said is totally valid. I mean, we knew what we anticipated the criticisms to be, and by and large, the ones that we hear or read, it's not like we're like indignant, like how could you say that? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, what do you mean? Like 3 to 4 hours isn't enough gameplay? You know what I mean? Like we were definitely aware of a lot of things. I think for my part, yeah, I mean, we talked about this before, but ultimately there aren't really that many mechanics in the game. Mm-hmm. And a part of that is, to make excuses is based on the premise and the situation you're in, right? It's not like, we used to say, you don't get out of the suit and upgrade into a more powerful suit, right? Or get a better flare launcher, yeah. But I think probably, this is definitely a testament to the, game designers. It's like, how do we create some sense of conflict and combat while not getting into the realm of the ridiculous,
Yeah.
And at the same time, maintain some sense of, sort of dramatic peaks, right? And so definitely we could have used more variety in terms of the enemies you fight. But at the same time, it's I'm sure at some point we're should we just make these QuickTime events? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Press the QuickTime event button in Unity.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, so trying to preserve some sense of quote unquote realism. Everyone is oh, I hope you fight a giant squid, right? And of course, that was something that sort of we talked about a lot, but we realized that having one giant squid encounter would be incredibly expensive in terms of development time, but to make it worthwhile, he would have to come back and attack you again, and that just seems absurd.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You're just this tiny speck in the ocean. Why would this thing come? It's not an evil giant squid. It's a giant squid. You know what I mean?
And even if it did come at you, all you got is that diving knife, which is that's a lot of sushi.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it wouldn't really tempting, but even beyond our inability to sort of tackle that, it wouldn't have felt right.
Carnage in chat. Giant enemy squid attack its weak point for massive damage.
Yeah. So I was getting to that joke actually.
Maybe one tentacle with a suction cup on it that's weak that you could just lay
it glows red, so you know where to attack.
Shoot the giant eye.
That wouldn't annihilate the atmosphere at all.
I think my only real mechanical complaint with the game is that the controls are incredibly weird to get used to, where it's like a twin stick tank control.
Yeah, it's tank controls. Yeah.
And it was just so weird to get, like, because I would constantly hit the right analog stick to look around, and then I'm just not walking in the right direction anymore.
Yeah,
well, if you play the game every day for 3 years, you get used to that.
Yeah.
It's not a problem for me, But,
get good, scrub.
I mean, but once again, like that's
Beat me to it.
trying to maintain some sense of reality because, like, I mean, these suits don't strafe, and also, like, as far as our gameplay goes, certainly it's like frustrating for some players, but at the same time, like, there is no benefit to strafing.
Yeah.
In the game, right? It doesn't require it. I mean, like, it's a conspicuous absence because it's something you're used to, which is not to, like, I'm not defending it. We've heard it from other people, but it's just another mechanic. It's another layer to add on that ultimately wouldn't, even though it would have, like, sated a lot of people's expectations, like, it wouldn't necessarily enhance the experience.
Yeah.
Which is, like, I know, a very sort of passive-aggressive way of, like, defending it. But, yeah, I mean,
There are areas where it's frustrating to get by, but when you do, it's so incredibly satisfying. You're like, fuck, yeah, I did it! And now I'm going to go die because I'm out of oxygen. I can't spoil it! I can't spoil it.
Yeah.
The section with the 4 coming at you, and you...
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. And it's about as best as I can do without telling anything major. But that
first-person jumping puzzles
I did like 12 times, and I'm just like, and then I finally did it. And I was like, well, A, I'm an idiot. It took me that long, and B, fuck yeah, I'm the best. I did it. Right on. You find your happy medium.
Oh, man. Well, I know we've been chatting for a little bit over an hour now. Was there anything else that you wanted to touch on before we wrap this up? Or, Jeff, you've been around for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, only 20 minutes, man. Oh, no.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, Jeff, you missed all the part where we were all, like, gushing over all the touchy-feely emotional stuff.
Oh, well, that just means I have something to listen to later.
Yeah. You could check it out when the show releases tomorrow.
No, I mean, I guess really just a sort of a epilogue is to the whole project is that it was really a really great sort of project to work on. David and I get along really well as writers, which is something we discovered probably. I don't think I was really, I was involved with the project.
No, that was
long before.
Yeah. Dude, you were involved a long time, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's for a voice actor to be involved in something like this for 3+ years, really. Yeah. Is when we first started chatting. So that was it was sort of, for me, it was sort of a once in a lifetime experience in the sense that you just, as an actor and as a later a writer, you really don't get too many opportunities to sort of workshop something like this as you would, a film or a piece of theater or something like that. And I think to a large degree that's what contributed to this story resonating with so many people and people really digging the presentation of that and in conjunction with the atmosphere and all that stuff. So, it was a great experience.
Not exaggerating, some of the VO, especially actually at sort of the climax, was recorded 3 days before we shipped on Steam.
Oh wow!
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember that? I was like, dude, you got to say this one line differently.
Oh yeah. No, I remember that. Well,
this can't be happening.
Right. And this is the other thing that's interesting too is this VO, and you guys may have touched on this before, but we had 2 full-blown studio sessions with all the gear and stuff that you'd expect and engineers and all that, and then I mean, I don't know what percentage of it was recorded on your phone in your home studio. Yeah, in my closet. Yeah. So
yeah, that was brought up.
Oh right, because you were moving. You were moving when we recorded this last line, so I think it must. Oh, maybe you left your studio intact.
Yeah. I had my little MacGyvered booth, that I could, my portable booth that I could carry with me. But yeah, no, it's it was really interesting, and I'm thrilled it turned out as well as it did. Yeah.
Oh, so good. Such a good experience. A great game. And really, God, the story and the ending is just going to stay with you.
That's really cool to hear, man. I mean, we were always confident, you know, like we're like, you know, this is how it's going to work, and this is how it's going to play out, and here's where they're going to be surprised. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I've watched a lot of YouTube videos, and watching people's like really genuine, unfettered, you know, because, you know, a lot of YouTubers, they sort of like, you know, put on a shtick, and, you know, like obviously they're shrieking whenever something scary happens and stuff, but it's definitely pushing the right buttons at the right time for a lot of people. And yeah, Jeff, you weren't here, but, you know, like I was telling them, like, you know, I was just watching this. I'll send you the link. This girl YouTuber was playing it, and she's weeping at the end.
Oh,
you know?
cool! I'd like to see that.
Yeah, she wasn't like sobbing. You know what I mean?
No.
She was crying. You know, and that's like, you know, that is. Well, that's when I said we have to call Jeff. You know, because I was like,
man,
that's
excellent. Well,
that's what you created. That is what you caused, Jeff.
I like to make
you broke.
I make people cry. That's no.
Everybody's got their claim to fame.
That's right. That's right. I'll take it.
No, man. Well, I guess we can wrap this up. David, Jeff, it has been fantastic having the both of you on. Jeff, a little bit less than David, since you've only been here, you know, about half the show.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
But your voice makes up for it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.
It's very, like I said, it's very odd to play the game for 3 days and then to hear you on the other side of the phone. It's just like, what?
Yeah, I would encourage you to have Jeff on as a guest host one of these days.
I'd be happy to.
Sounds good.
He's a gentleman.
I mean, yeah, definitely better than the squeaky redneck.
Who's obsessed with hamsters?
Yes. Normally goats. I went this whole time without mentioning goats.
Well,
So
now you
maybe
ruin
we
it.
should consider that a win.
We can save that for the next.
That's right. The dead pet goat floating through
No!
the undersea farm.
No, you're gonna make me cry. Fuck hamsters, but now when you start hurting goats, that's my feels.
That's where you draw the line.
Just a dead goat floating around. It's just like, you know, it stands out like a sore thumb. It's just out of nowhere. Why just patch it in? Patch it in.
Yeah.
Just add a dead goat floating somewhere in the game.
As long as you give him a dossier, though. You have to have a dossier so that we know why he was there. I have demands.
Does this goat have ID tag? What the fuck?
Maybe he was the resident milk goat, or she was the resident milk goat. I don't think you want to milk a Billy, but maybe they needed fresh milk down there.
Oh my lord.
On.
This has gone so far off the rails. I don't even.
It's good to have a little levity.
You know this happened.
Oh man. Well, again, David, Jeff, it's been great having you guys on for the show. Do you have any final words to end things?
No, I mean, you know, thank you for reaching out. You know, it's been a pleasure talking with you. And, you know, like I said, I mean, after 3 years of sort of sitting on these secrets, even though we weren't able to discuss them flat out, it's nice to really talk about some of the bigger picture stuff, you know. So I really appreciate that.
Well, there's always next time that you could come on and talk about all the hidden secrets that people may or may not have found.
The spoiler
cast. No, they have not found them. But yeah, no, I mean, you know, I really appreciate sort of the enthusiasm and stuff, and
yeah,
thanks. It's really cool to talk to people who yeah, you know, appreciate what we're able to do.
Yeah. And thanks from me as well for not only for having me on, but for I'm really glad. It's always really nice to get a chance to chat with people with whom the game resonated. So thanks for that.
Oh man, that was fun. Always good talking to awesome people with awesome games. And CJ stumbled into the show. CJ, what's up?
Nothing much. My internet's going to be shit because people decide to download on Thursday nights.
Nice.
Because my stepbrother moved back in. And so, of course, that's happening now.
You missed all the fun of the Narcosis interview.
Oh, I'm sure I had so much more fun closing at my job.
But I guess you're tagging in, and Cole, you're going to head out, aren't you?
I am getting out of here. Bye.
So, all right. Cole, thanks as always for joining. I'm sure we'll talk to you this weekend since you've got some stuff to take care of for us.
I do.
So
thanks for putting up with my antics.
Have a good one, Cole.
Good night.
Peace, Cole.
Oh, man.
I have something stupid to talk about before we get into the real things.
Okay, what stupid do you have to talk about?
Well, it's kind of stupid. Me and you are both Mountain Dew fans. Have you tried the new Mountain Dew SA?
Yes.
It is good. I'm drinking it. I bought 36 cans.
36 cans?
Yeah, I bought 3 12-packs because it was buy 2, get 1 free.
Oh, nice.
So
Where at?
Fuck yeah. Giant Eagle.
Yeah, we don't have those out here.
Really? I thought that was just a worldwide kind of thing.
No, we have Giant, but I don't know if it's the same. I know there's a Giant in Pennsylvania and then a different Giant like down in Virginia. They're both Giant. They're just not the same Giant.
Well, this is Giant Eagle, and it's American as it gets.
I don't know if
but
that's
damn, this is a good flavor.
The same as... I was actually confused because when I first saw it, I thought it was just like a case of like 4 cans of Code Red, 4 cans of Whiteout.
That's exactly what I thought.
And I was excited because my area doesn't sell Whiteout at all. And
I don't see Whiteout alone at the store. I just saw the Dew SA.
And I was so excited. I'm like, oh my God, there's Whiteout in the... Oh, wait, no. It's what?
It's a combination
what the fuck
of
is
Code
that?
Red, Whiteout, and Voltage. And it is
so
good.
Weird. It is so weird, but it's really good. And hilariously enough, in the past couple of days, I made the conscious decision to like cut down on 90% of the soda I drink.
You know, recently I hadn't drinking nearly as much soda, and then all of a sudden I started getting money from Panera working, and it's like constant. I'm always buying pop now, or I'm constantly drinking free pop there because
all I heard you say was I buy all the pot now, not pop. I heard pot.
That too. We get free pot at Panera as well.
But yeah, the other day I weighed myself and I'm like, you know what? I got to cut down on soda.
See, I've been good. I've lost some weight recently, so I'm gonna gain that back.
Yeah, I need to get back to the losing side of things. So.
I loaded up on some junk food though.
But anyway, we have a shitload of stuff to take care of, and there's gonna be a lot of talking from me.
Yeah, not as much from me.
No, did you at least get to play Last Stitch Goodnight?
Yeah, I did. I played it last night. Good.
There's one thing that I won't have to talk during.
Yeah. Well, I would have had the other game instead, but I still gotta be able to reinstall the game. It's just the internet's been so shit, so I haven't bothered.
No. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with Human Fall Flat, but hopefully it gets worked out. Fingers crossed. But before we get to the review stuff, we do have the news of the week that we've got to take care of. The first bit of news, I'm excited about this. A company called LucidSound announced the LS35X wireless gaming headset for release later on this year, which is going to be the first announced truly wireless headset for the Xbox One.
That's pretty cool. I didn't actually know that there weren't ones because I don't really get into the whole headset thing.
Yeah, like this isn't going to be something where it's wireless, but you still have to plug it into the controller. This is going to be, it syncs to your console like a controller.
Oh, that's actually pretty cool.
Like fully, completely wireless.
My question, how if it's just syncs to your controller, or I mean your console, how does it know which controller is trying to use that headset if you have multiple controllers?
I have no idea.
I guess that's a good question.
See, that's something that you should have asked me about earlier before I.
But I
talked
had
to the
no idea
guy
what the
from
fuck it was. I didn't really know much about it, so I didn't know that you didn't. I thought it was just like wireless, as in like it would connect to everything, but you still had to use a little thing, or at least a little port that had like a Bluetooth thing connected to it that you'd plug into the controller.
It syncs via the actual Xbox wireless protocol. It syncs directly to the console. It sounds really awesome. There's no info on a release date for it yet or a price. They are saying that they're hoping to get it out for the holidays. I did talk with Alex Very of LucidSound, and that interview should hit probably Monday or Tuesday sometime. So that's something that our listeners could keep an ear out for.
Did you ask the question about comfortability?
No, it didn't really come up, but they did say that they're looking to make this like the best headset on the market, and it looks comfortable as hell. So I'm going to assume that if you can wear a normal headset, this one should be good for you.
Hopefully.
They did mention
the
that
Turtle Beaches XLAs I got recently for like $20, which explains why they hurt after like an hour of
That's
wearing
because
them.
it's a $20 headset.
Yeah, it's not comfortable, but it's what I could afford.
If you're getting like, this is going to be probably $150, $200. So this is a premium headset.
I've never understood why people spend so much. Like the Astros were like $300, and it's like, God, why would you spend that much on a headset?
Hey, pros out there need it. So
I don't know. I guess if you're a pro, have fun with that. But for me, that seems like a lot. Like 150 is I think is about as high as I'd go.
Yeah. Well, they have 3 different headsets on the market now. Their entry level is 100. That's the LS20s. They have the LS30s, which are 150, and then the LS40s, which with like 7.1 surround sound, those are 200. And while they said they didn't have a price for the 35s yet, he did say it shouldn't be more than the 40s. So
all right.
Things could always change, but it's looking like 200 or less for those wireless ones. Which,
well, that would be nice, though.
For completely wireless, I might have to grab those.
The only bonus to that is that I sit like 2-3 feet from my console, and all these fucking headsets have like 10 to 15 foot cables. It's like, God damn, this is way too much. Like I'm sitting, my foot's like trapped in a loop of like so much cable, just because I don't know. I guess people sit much further than I do, but it's like, God damn.
Like, does your headset connect directly to the console or something?
Yes, the USB port is plugged right into, or it has a USB that plugs right into it, and then it also has the 2 cables that go into the TV out. So that I hear everything in the game.
Wouldn't fuck with something like that. I honestly, I would just get like the stock Xbox, like the $60 stereo headset that they have, the ones that I wear during the show. If you're watching the video.
Oh yeah, I mean those look nice. From what I've heard, they're pretty decent too for the price.
They're good. They're comfortable. They're clearly not like super premium, but they're good.
No. I don't need. I fucking spent $20. I don't need premium. I just need I just want something that's nice to wear and doesn't hurt after a fucking hour. Like,
dude, try the $60 Xbox stereo headset.
I will say the sound quality for a $20 headset, because it's Turtle Beaches, it's great. Like the quality is amazing. It's just the fucking, there's no padding on the ear things.
Yeah.
There's there's just nothing that really gives you that barrier.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if you get $60, I would grab the Xbox stereo headset, because
speaking of spending a lot of money, Major Nelson tweeted out about that a 4 terabyte external for like $99 instead of $199.
Oh yeah,
and I'm so tempted to drop the money because I'm down to like 500 gigs and I had a 2 terabyte, so I could use I could really use that 4 terabyte. Because Gears of War 4, I fucking redeemed it. It's 90 gigs. Holy shit, it's 90 gigs.
Gears 4 is 90?
Yep.
Holy shit.
I had to go pause the download yesterday so that my well, here's a little story. we got another Xbox One. We got an Xbox One S with Gears of War 4. Because my family wanted to be able to play the Xbox One, and obviously I don't want to bring my Xbox One upstairs so that they can all play it. I got my own. I want to play it down here. So everybody pitched in that wanted it. Even I gave them $50 with the what would you call it, stipulation that I get the Gears of War 4 code. I file shared with the Xbox anyway, since it's in the same house. That's what it's meant for. They still get it. I just wanted it on my account. And so when I went to pause the download, it said 3% done. I was like, okay, it must not have been downloading anyway. And then I go and look, and it's 3 gigs out of 90.
Oh my god, it is like 91. God. Holy shit.
That just takes up so much room.
Holy shit.
But you'd be surprised how much they got that Xbox One for. The Xbox One S, 1 terabyte. With Gears of War 4, normally $350. It was on sale for $239 with free shipping.
Oh wow!
And there was no tax.
Swizzlers has a 5 terabyte hard drive. I'm thinking about getting that. I have a 5 terabyte hard drive. I have the 1 terabyte internal, and I also have an 8 terabyte hard drive. And my system is at 71.7% filled with 3.
Well, you don't delete
3.3
really.
remaining.
You don't really delete much of anything though on your system.
No, I don't.
I like after I'm done with a game and I know that they're not going to add any more achievements, I'll normally delete it just to get some more room on there. Because otherwise, my hard drive would be full if I didn't delete games.
Do you want to take a guess how many games I'm at on my system right now?
Probably around 1,300.
No, not that many.
I knew that recently, or something like that, it was like 1,100.
Flat Out 4 was my 1,200.
Nice. So
I'm at 1,208 right now.
Nice.
Yeah, I have a problem.
Yeah, you do. Oh my god, my stepbrothers were fucking just amazed when the ready to install list went from 3 to 180, and they or 280, and they were just like, "Holy shit, you got so many games out here. We're never gonna need to buy a game." They're fucking installing all these big games. Like my stepbrother was so excited when he saw I had Sniper Ghost Warrior 3 and Titanfall 2. He's just immediately like, "Gotta install these." And then, of course, my stepsister's just like, she just wanted Rare Replay and Viva Pinata. She was happy.
Hey, that works.
Oh, and Lego Batman.
Nice. Oh, man. Hey, we should probably talk about the rest of the news. We kind of went off topic there a bit. Let's see. What other news do we have for the week? There are rumors of a Western-themed Far Cry 5 coming out allegedly in September.
Way too close to Red Dead if that's the case, because they got to know that they're going to get crushed by Red Dead if they do that.
Who knows if they release first?
It doesn't matter. Red Dead has such a big following. It's Rockstar. It's still going to kill it.
I'm sure it'll still kill it, but it would be a lot better if it released before Red Dead than after it.
I think the best bet would have been, it's nothing's confirmed, but I think the best bet's to wait until March of next year, when people have calmed down and went and beat Red Dead 2 already.
Yeah, I don't know.
Then release the next one.
Something else announced to release in 2017, a brand new Need for Speed game.
Nice.
You know, because the last few Need for Speed games have been so good, right?
I don't know. I haven't played them.
Especially the last actual just Need for Speed. Oh my god. Why? Just bring back Burnout. Fuck Need for Speed. Fuck it. Fuck Need for Speed. I am sick of Need for Speed. Bring back Burnout.
Well, that's not going to happen for a while. At the very least. Plus, at this point, there's a lot of devs that are making games that are similar enough, like Flat Out and such.
God, I want Burnout back. I want Burnout back.
On the bright side, you know that within 6 to 8 months, you'll get Need for Speed for free.
Very true.
Well, technically free. I mean, you got to pay the $30 a year, but that's worth
access. Yeah, as long as it's not as cringy and horrible as the last Need for Speed, because Jesus, the last one was so bad. And the acting, the live action shit, they need to never do that again, ever. Oh man, BioWare is apparently shelving Mass Effect. After the incredibly polarizing Andromeda, it looks like it's going back on hiatus for a bit, with many of the employees at BioWare Montreal being transferred to other studios, and Montreal itself is just going to be like a support studio.
Oof, it's pretty rough for that, considering how big that game is. It seemed so funny. It seemed doomed from the beginning.
Yeah. I don't know. It wasn't the same developer as the original trilogy, so that right there is going to be a problem.
That's true. That can hurt a game right there.
And
I feel like, for the most part, devs can should stick to the game that they're making. Like, I mean, the controversial one I'd mention is like 343. I think personally doesn't do Halo very well. Like, they did Halo 5 okay, but 4 was complete trash in my opinion. And so I wish it would have just ended after 3 and then have the prequel with Reach, because that's fine. But yeah, I did not like what 343 did with Halo.
No. Oh well, who knows? In more bad news for developers out there, Square Enix has split with IO Interactive.
Which is really surprising.
Yeah.
Because as far as I'm aware, Hitman is done really well.
I guess it didn't do well enough, but IO, the team behind the Hitman series, Kane and Lynch games, Freedom Fighters, and the always amazing Mini Ninjas, they've been severed by Square Enix, and Square is looking to completely sell off the studio. And then
that's really
Hitman
shitty.
itself looks to be shelved as well, sitting on the shelf with Mass Effect.
Are they trying to keep Hitman but get rid of the company?
Well, Square Enix officially owns the Hitman IP. They're just looking to sell off the studio that created it and made the games. I doubt they're going to sell off the IP.
That's really rough, because that means the devs can't even continue to work on the game.
No, but they could always make a spiritual successor.
That's true. But the thing is, like, they've been so good about it too. Like, they keep updating it with more free content, but that might be what the problem is. Square Enix might not want them to release free content, but instead paid content.
And the crazy thing is, like, there's other reports coming out that Square wants to focus more on, like, games as a service, which was what fucking Hitman was.
Exactly.
Because it was episodic. They release content frequently. They re-release the game in stores. So I don't know. They want to go in a certain direction, and they're getting rid of the studio that made a game in that direction. So
it feels shitty. It feels like if they were gonna cut a studio, why that one?
I don't know. Anyway, last bit of news I have is that Best Buy Canada apparently had a listing up with Crash Bandicoot N-Sane Trilogy on the PS4, and below it had the text 1 year console exclusive. So it looks like all the rumors that the N-Sane Trilogy might head to other platforms looks to be true after a year.
Well, that would be cool.
Which
Just
doesn't surprise me at all, because Activision wants money.
Yeah. I don't like that company, though. I'd probably buy it pre-owned just to not give Activision money.
Oh, man. Fun. Final news. No backward compatibility this week. No updates. Nothing new.
Oh, why? I really was disappointed. I thought that with the whole Saints Row series being back, all within the deals with gold this week, I thought for sure they were going to drop some of them at least.
Yeah, I was hoping for something, but what are you going to do? For those like me who are looking for some backward compatible games to pick up, both of the Sam and Max games dropped down to $10 this week.
Is that a permanent or just sale?
The what's the site? Price store parser just says drop instead of sale or anything like that. So I think it's permanent drop.
That wouldn't surprise me. It's an older game, and I believe they were already like $10 on Steam.
Yeah, and
they
it looks like
they didn't make the drop.
R-Type Dimensions and Joe Danger Special Edition have both dropped down to $10 as well.
That's cool. I loved, well, I wouldn't say I loved, but I really enjoyed Sam and Max Beyond Time in Space when it was in the Game Pass not too long ago. So I might pick up Save the World just to see what was before it.
Yeah, and then Carnage mentioning no ACA games this week either. So
surprising.
It's a weird week.
Yeah. Also, something else in this week. That indie hits bundle that was like $100 is back down to 20 again.
Yeah, Curve. They do so much good shit. I love Curve.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it this time. I missed it the last time because I didn't have money for it. This time I'm gonna grab it.
You know what the new game from Curve Digital is?
What's that?
Human Fall Flat that you didn't fucking get working.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. That should have been included in the bundle, maybe.
No, they're not going to give a brand new game.
No, I'm surprised they didn't include. Was Sam? I would assume Manuel Samuel was by that developer as well, or publisher, considering there's the bundle with it.
Yeah,
I'm surprised they didn't stick that one in there.
Well, maybe it'll be in a future bundle. I'm sure it's tough to like take an existing bundle and put something new in it.
Well, the thing that makes me say that is the fact that it showed up as new in the store again. Like they had removed the bundle and then put it back in. Like on the Xbox store.
I don't know.
It's possible that they only put the bundle on when it's actually on sale and then they take the bundle back off.
It's possible.
But that's
Latino
pretty
Heat
cool.
in chat is asking, do you think Xbox will make all Splinter Cell games backward compatible? I don't know. That comes down to Ubisoft. I would like to see them happen.
Yeah, the Splinter Cell series is probably the best, the Tom Clancy series.
And we haven't seen anything new Splinter Cell related in a while, so it would be nice.
Yeah. Want to see some more Sam Fisher. Still need to finish Blacklist.
Yeah, it'd be nice for sure. The fuck?
What's up?
I think your headset or sound card or something was acting up.
Weird. I don't know.
Because it got all garbly for a second.
Maybe the internet just went bleh for a second.
I don't know. Maybe. No giveaway on the show this week. Probably next week we'll have some stuff to do on the show. But a shout out to Eric Trill, who won our copy of the Disney Afternoon Collection.
Nice.
On our Gleam giveaway. You still have, by the time this episode releases, you should still have a day or two to enter for Wonder Boy the Dragon's Trap on Xbox One. And then we started another giveaway, a 2-pack, including Trulon the Shadow Engine and Lost Grimoire Stolen Kingdom.
I'm surprised you're doing Lost Grimoires on a Gleam.
Well, I came across a spare code, so I threw that in, since we did the rest of them last week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I forgot about the fact that we didn't. Okay.
Yeah, so I think any games that I have single codes for, I'm going to do Gleam stuff. But on things like probably next week, Narcosis, we'll have a handful to go through. We'll do the traditional email-ins.
So when are you going to put the one I've been requesting you to put up already?
I don't know. Maybe I'll do that one soon.
Good.
It's all about finding like a good combination. Maybe Dead Effect in 8 days. 2 shooters.
That would work.
Ah, man. Anyway, any other news you want to talk about, or are you ready to dive into reviews?
I mean, I'm a little surprised you didn't mention the Shantae Half Genie Heroes DLC reveal, but I don't actually know much about it because I didn't look it up. I just expected you to say something about it.
Oh, God, that happened, what was it? Last week that was announced? That they're the... Shit, I'm going to have to look that up.
Yeah, I just figured you would mention that since it's something that you're really into. You love Shantae.
Shantae. Let me. From 6 days ago. Trying to find brand new adventure. You will play the role of Risky Boots as she travels to the four corners of Sequin Land in search of components needed to deliver destruction on poor Sequin Land. Risky Boots DLC is filled with new puzzles, new enemies, and a new end boss. I don't think they have a date for it, though, do they? I think they just announced it this
on
summer.
The place that I'm looking at, yeah, I was going to say it's this summer.
Yeah, just a generic this summer sometime.
And if you were a backer, you're getting it for free.
Yeah. Which I'm getting. As well as Tinkerbat DLC. Because I'm a backer. Oh, man. Anyway, reviews. We got a bunch of them. Yeah. I'm going to talk a lot. So let's get to this. First game to talk about is called Flat Out 4 Total Insanity. Developed by Kyloton Games, published by Big Ben Interactive. It released May 2nd digitally in the US, May 5th physically on Xbox One, PS4 for $49.99. Flat Out 4 Total Insanity blends everything everyone has ever loved about Flat Out into one offering. Another installment of nitro-fueled demolition and derby racing, featuring a variety of tracks, modes, arenas, and multiplayer options are available. Welcome back to Flat Out. This game, I feel very bad for because it released a few days before the newest Forza Horizon DLC.
Okay. And okay, I'll just let you continue. I was going to say something and then I just lost it. So whatever. Shut up. It don't matter.
Flat Out 4 is fantastic. I am absolutely loving Flat Out 4. The game looks great. The game plays great. Unlike Horizon, Flat Out 4 is pure arcade. There's no... Like, they have minor sim elements of where you can manage handling and whatnot, but for the most part, you just hold the fucking trigger to drive and ram into things. They have a handful of different modes to the game. They have standard racing where you still got to take everyone out. They have weapons where your nitro bar will fill up over time, and you can use the left bumper as well as the different face buttons to do 4 different attacks that consume your nitro gauge. They have arena-based destruction derby, which is always awesome. They have time trials in the game, and then they have stunt mode, which is just insanity. There's like a dozen different stunt modes in the game where you can do everything from launching your driver out of the car into like stacks of blocks to just knock them over and create destruction. They have golfing where you launch your driver out of your car and you have to try landing in golf holes. They have like beer pong that you have to land them in cups. There's just so ridiculously much to do in this game. It blows my mind. And on top of that, there's online as well, so you can race online. The big draw clearly is campaign, where it is separated into 3 different classes of vehicles. There's... what are they? There's classic, there's like all-star, and then I guess the beginner tier. I don't remember the name of it. Pick a vehicle, go through a bunch of different cups. Each one has like anywhere from 2 to 4 races, maybe 5 races. Just try to win all the races. At the end of all of them, you get a reward based on your final ranking, like first, second, or third, you get money. After the races themselves, you gain money based on your finishing position. You gain money based on how much damage you've done to other people. Like if you slam into them, you get some money. Or if they have different levels of the slams, like power slams, or my favorite one is if you like T-bone someone, it just says boom. It's just fucking wrecked them. You get a bonus if you cause someone to wreck so bad that they eject from their car. It is just ridiculous. It is flat out, the last Flat Out, what was it, Flat Out 3 on Steam is like one of the lowest rated games on Steam because it was hot garbage.
I remember that.
Flat Out 4.
It's like 6% positive.
Flat Out 4 is a return to form. I absolutely love Flat Out 4, and the biggest problem I have with it is that it released so close to the Forza expansion.
In the US.
Yeah. Because it released like a month ago in Europe.
Yeah.
And
it's odd.
I don't know why they waited so long to release it in America, especially because the new Forza expansion, the Hot Wheels expansion, might be the greatest DLC in the history of racing games.
I still gotta pick it up. I've just been waiting because I have PayPal issues right now.
Oh, God.
So that's been pushing me back from being able to buy it. It's annoying me.
The hardest part about reviewing Flat Out right now is that I have to focus on Flat Out and not on Forza, which is, it's so unfair to Flat Out because it is such a good game. But
this game had its release date much longer than Forza, which just got announced like not very long before it released.
Well, it's very possible that they knew what the release date was going to be. They just didn't go public with it until it was ready to go.
Yeah, but there's no way that the Flat Out guys could have predicted that.
Yeah, true. Why couldn't they have released it in the U.S. at the same time as Europe?
Maybe there was something with the ESBR taking longer to rate the game.
I don't know. But I just feel bad because I think Flat Out is going to be overlooked because of the new Forza DLC, which is unfair to Flat Out, because for $50, the amount of content in the game, it looks great. It's got an awesome soundtrack, tons of stuff to do in the game. It's a buy it. I hope people will, because Forza,
anybody that knows
so
the
good.
Flat Out name is gonna buy it anyway if they liked it. Because, I mean, Ultimate Carnage was great.
Yeah, the important thing to note is that this is not Flat Out 3. Flat Out 4 has redeemed the franchise.
That's good. I think the Flat Out 4 was a different developer from 3, too, so it's not like...
Well, let's look up who developed Flat Out 3.
I'm pretty sure that Flat Out 3 pretty much solidified them never releasing another game. I don't know.
Flat Out 3 Chaos and Destruction, developed by Team 6 Studios. Yeah, I never heard of them.
Yeah, no, they're not the same team. They've done a couple other games, but almost all of their games are negative on Steam.
Yeah. Kyloton, I know they do pretty solid racing games. So.
Well, why wouldn't you back... I mean... Oh, fuck. Okay, never mind. I thought you were talking about the publisher of the Flat Out 3 was Kyloton. Never mind.
No, they developed Flat Out 4.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, they've done other racing games before. I just can't remember them off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I just don't. I know that I've seen that name before games before.
Yeah. Anyway, next game to talk about is called NBA Playgrounds, developed by Saber Interactive, published by Mad Dog Games. They would like us to note that the game was provided to us by Saber Interactive, but really, we only officially review games that are given to us the way it is, so that's kind of a no-brainer. Released May 9th on Xbox One, PS4, the Switch, and PC for $19.99. Online functionality will be available for the Switch release via a free game update shortly after launch. Online tournaments will not be available at launch and will arrive in an update at a later date. Classic NBA arcade action is back. Take your A game to the playground and beat the best in high-flying 2-on-2 basketball action. Practice your skills offline, play with up to 3 others, and take your talents online to posterize your opponents with acrobatic jams and ridiculous displays of skill. A lot of people are comparing this to NBA Jam, which is, the right thing to do because it's the similar 2-on-2, fast-paced hard dunks and crazy power-ups and all kind of weird shit like that. But it has a couple of missteps. The first gripe that I have with the game is the AI. Because they're like, if you're doing good, the AI is going to just shut you down. Like, if the AI does not want you to win, you will not win.
Interesting.
The way the game works is after you do things like alley-oops or dunks or blocks or anything like that, you build up a gauge that creates a lottery pick, which, you know, you start off and it gives you a guaranteed basket. No matter where you shoot from, as long as your ball lights up on fire, wherever you shoot it, it's going in. No matter what. As you level up more through the game and beat tournaments, you can unlock other things like score doublers, either in the paint or from the 3-point line, unlimited sprint, so you can, you know, run up and down like crazy, a shortened shot clock for your opponents, just various random things. The problem is when you have a power-up, 90% of the time the computer will make sure you cannot use it.
That's weird.
And it
is there a difficulty setting in that game?
Not that I saw. Like, there is an exhibition, but not in the tournaments. Which, you know, I'll get to the tournaments soon, but just it's so frustrating. Like, when you're already losing a game and then you get the score doubler and you're like, oh, well, I could get 4-point baskets. This is going to help me out. And you miss every shot that you take, or they push you out of the way no matter what you do. The way the game works is, in most basketball games, you know, you take a shot, you hold the button, and you release it at the top of your jump.
Yeah.
You know, they have the same kind of mechanic in this game, which on a jump shot is fine, but it works the same way with layups and dunks. And when you're in the air for a dunk, you don't know when the fuck to let go. You kind of expect, well, I'm dunking, I should just hold the button through the dunk, but you have to release it at an arbitrary time, which isn't explained very well to you, which it's just, it makes the game tougher than it needs to be, especially when the AI just seems to work against you so much. Like, I lost the one round in a tournament, I think 4 times in a row, and then out of nowhere, I just destroyed them. So it was a case of the AI did not want me to win. So I was not going to win at all.
Yeah, that's really annoying.
It got to the point where it was just frustrating. Like, there is no way to win this if the computer doesn't want you to win it. And then the gauge that I mentioned, the lottery gauge, the one ability in the game, you have a shove attack, which you basically just beat the shit out of your opponent, but it eats up some of that gauge. The problem is, it would seem that no matter how many times they would shove me, they would still fill their gauge faster, which made no sense to me.
Yeah, that's really off.
It was just, there was a lot of frustration, and it's a shame because the game itself is a lot of fun. Even when I was done with my time for reviewing it, I would find myself going back to play a quick game here, quick game there. I wish there were more modes to it. They have exhibition, they have tournaments, which are like 8 different locations that you just go in, you play 4 rounds, and then that's it.
Okay.
And then they have online. That's
so there's
all
not
the
a lot.
modes. There's not much in the way of modes there. The way that it keeps you playing is that as you level up in the game or as you complete tournaments, you get card packs, which is how you get players in the game. When you start the game, they give you, I want to say, 3 card packs, and each one has 5 random players in it. And that's what you use to create your 2-player team. Everything is random, and the good thing here is there are no microtransactions, so it is not a pay to win to unlock better things. It just comes down to luck of the draw. It's kind of a bummer if you don't get good card picks. Like, I could see someone just kind of getting stuck with like the B squad where they play online and like the other team has like fucking LeBron and Stephen Curry, which would just suck for you. But it's a good way to keep you invested and keep you playing to unlock more characters and, you know, complete your card collection. So that's a fun way to keep you invested in playing. As you use certain players, you will earn experience. You start off as a bronze player, and then you could level up to a gold. It seems the only benefit there is like different special moves that you get for like the dunks and everything else. An annoyance is that in the offline tournaments, every team you play against is gold. Both the players are going to be gold, and you're bronze.
That's annoying.
And it just feels like the deck is stacked against you. But I don't want to harp on this game because I did have a lot of fun with it. There's just so many minor gripes that keep this from being a must-own game. Load times in the game are rough. If you get off to a bad start and you want to restart the game, it loads it fresh from the start, which is irritating. Every time you score a basket, you have to wait, like the game stops until the opposing players run to the other end of the court, and you'll score baskets, or the opponent will score baskets, and you're just like mashing the button like, come on, let me inbound the ball and keep the game going. And it's like a second or two that it keeps you sitting around, but it just adds up and it's an annoyance.
Yeah, that's just more of a frustration thing, especially if it's like, if you're getting crushed in a game and it's just like, God, after every single one, really?
The game is just, it's an awesome game with just a ton of annoyances and little gripes, and I don't know. I hope that they keep working on it. I hope that they release some patches. I know that it was rushed out to like release before the playoffs ended. So
yeah, they want it to be relevant.
Yeah, they kind of rushed it out the door. So that's why, you know, online was missing from the Switch launch. Online tournaments aren't there yet. There's no way to co-op online. It's basically one-to-one connection.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Apparently, they're going to eventually add it so that you can team up with someone online against two other strangers.
That would be fun.
But at launch for $20, the best I could give it is a try it. It's a lot of fun. It just has a lot of little issues that I hope they iron out and fix, because this could be a great successor to NBA Jam. It just has...
I actually kind of find it funny that one of the achievements in the game is to unlock the first 150 characters.
Yeah.
And apparently there are only 152 characters in the game, so it's just like, why didn't they just add the achievement to unlock all characters?
Just in case you can't get LeBron.
I mean, I guess it's just, I find it kind of funny. It's like,
I was happy that in like after my first tournament, I got Steph Curry, so I got a good player.
You got lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of online action, the next game to talk about is called Lethal League, developed and published by Team Reptile, released May 10th on Xbox One and PS4 for $14.99. Lethal League is a competitive projectile fighting game where you have to hit an anti-gravity ball into the face of your opponent to win. The ball speeds up with every strike, up to explosively extreme velocities. Play intense local matches with friends and foes, challenge yourself in the single-player mode, or battle it out online. This is kind of like a dodgeball mixed with baseball mixed with Smash Brothers.
Yeah, I've watched this game before.
Yeah, it
was entertaining.
It is 2 to 4 players for the main mode. Clearly, you start off, you hit a ball, and you just have to not get hit by the ball. You know, if you're the one who hit it, like they kind of have like colors to it, so you know it's yours and it won't damage you, which you can toggle off, hilariously enough.
That would be more just more insane.
You wouldn't even know. Like I'll get to the online in a bit. The offline, this is going to be something that you're going to want to play at parties. They have a single player mode to it, which is kind of like single player Smash Brothers. You just go through a handful of stages. it seems excessively difficult for single player. Like, I haven't been able to beat the campaign.
On TA, there's only one person that has so far, and that was Shiz.
Oh, he finally beat it?
Yeah, he's the only achievement he's missing is apparently a glitched one. So.
Oh God, what's the glitch?
Apparently the one just for playing 100 matches, or he would have been the first person to complete the game.
Wow, so he beat campaign without continuing.
Yeah, he did.
Wow.
I know. I'm really blown away by the fact that he must really be into it. But then again, he's really good at those kind of games.
Well, I know
he
that
likes those Smash Brother types.
He idled the game quite a bit to cheese the level up achievements.
Yeah, but that's just grind. It's not like actually beating a fucking thing without continuing. Like,
yeah.
Damn.
And speaking of Shiz, he's one of the guys that I tested out the online with. It was me, Shiz, Carnage, and Count Azen. The four of us were playing online, and this was a game that was really enjoyable. You know, something great for parties. The online in this game takes it to a whole new level.
I was so surprised to hear there was online, like, in the game on Xbox, because there's so many of these kind of games that release that are like local only on Xbox.
Like, I was just losing my mind having fun with this game online. It was a fun, enjoyable, unique twist on Smash Brothers and arena fighting. And then when I went online, it was just absolute chaos. It was insanity. It was ridiculous. I don't know how to properly enunciate how fun this game was online playing with friends. I think if you're playing with strangers, it might not be as fun. You might get more frustrated, but just being in a party with 3 friends playing this game, it was a blast.
Yeah, that sounds pretty fun. I like these kind of games, but I'm always so bad at them. But it's fun to play it with friends, because at least then you're not going to get frustrated. You're more just like having a good time being shitty.
Yeah, it was ridiculously fun. The only gripe I could really have is that the cast of character, there's only 6 characters. I wish there were more characters that you could pick. Each one has like different abilities, and you can unlock skins for all of them as you go through. Candyman is clearly the best, because when he gets hit, he yells out, "Damn it, damn it, damn it!" And that's funny as hell. I wish there were more characters. Maybe we'll see extra characters added in the future sometime, but overall, Carnage is mentioning some disconnection and lag issues. The only time that I noticed any kind of lag or disconnections was with Count Azen in the game. Otherwise, I didn't notice anything. So I'm wondering if there was an issue with his internet. Like when he would drop out and it was just me, Carnage, and Shiz, it ran perfectly smooth.
Yeah, that's possible.
I don't know if it was an issue with having 4 players in the game, or if there was an issue with Azen's internet. But otherwise, I thought it played really well online.
I don't think I've ever seen this on Xbox's site before.
What?
There so far every single rating, and there was 22 on the Xbox thing. All of them were 5 stars.
Because it's
everybody
a fucking awesome game.
Everybody's rating it 5 stars on Xbox.
Oh, Carnage is saying that he was having issues with the ID at Xbox stream. So maybe it's just the 4-player issue. I don't know. I don't know. But who knows? Might be some lag or internet issues, netcode issues that have to be ironed out. For the most part, though, I didn't run into any problems, so I'm just going to blame Carnage.
Yeah. Maybe it was Carnage's fault the entire time.
Probably. Overall, though, for $15, if you've got friends to play with, this is a must-own. If you're going to be playing by yourself, not really. This is definitely something where the company makes the game. But if you've got friends to play this with, absolutely, must-own.
And it's great because you can play with them online. It doesn't have to be like, local.
You could play with Shiz online.
why would you want to? He's gonna kick your ass. That's the one time where I say, instead of why would you want to, he sucks. It's the other thing.
So yeah, Lethal League if you got friends, buy it. So good stuff. Next game to talk about is called Last Stitch Goodnight, developed and published by Well-Bred Rhino. Awesome name.
Yeah.
Released May 9th on PS4 and Steam for $12.99. Last Stitch Goodnight is a side-scrolling action-adventure that embraces a new mythology. After a near-death experience, you're kidnapped by a doctor who's experimenting on people who satisfy certain criteria. Escape will require new weapons, powers, and a strong stomach for bad science. CJ, what did you think of this? Because I'm tired of talking.
I was just about to mention, finally, you get to relax. The Last Stitch Goodnight is a Metroidvania style side-scrolling platform game, sort of. It's not really much of a platformer as a game that has platform elements, but more of just like killing enemies that are on the screen. And it's mainly just trying to escape through this like science lab based thing, if you want to call it. Trying to find a way out while meeting some ridiculously weird characters, because it's hard to tell if this game's trying to be serious or just completely goofy, as the dialogue in the game is like out there and just weird and hilarious, but at the same time it's like the story is trying to be told in a realistic way. So it's like it's hard to tell what it actually wants to be. I noticed that there are tags that define it as a horror game. And I don't really, I guess I didn't make it to a point that I would see it being a horror game. It's definitely longer than I thought it was. I was thinking this game was going to be like a 3-4 hour game, and it turns out it's like, according to people who have actually beaten it, it's like 10 hours.
Oh, wow.
Which is much longer than I was anticipating. I was really thinking I would just knock it out in one afternoon, and then it's like, this is still going, huh? And then I looked at the discussions on the Steam page, and it was like, no, this takes like 10 hours. I was like, wow, really nice. There are good enemy variety in the game. Like, there are rats that are tiny, and you can just beat them to death with one hit, and they don't do much of anything, but if they touch you, you get hurt. And then there are, like, these flying weird white robot things that are really annoying and very difficult to dodge their attacks. And speaking of dodging, it's very difficult to dodge in the game anyway. Because the way dodging works is that you hold down on the left stick and then press A to dodge. In the dodge backwards, I will say. And so that can really work against you if you accidentally aren't holding perfectly down, because it'll change the direction you're facing, and then you'll dodge directly into the enemy.
Oh god!
And that's really not great. And so certain enemies are really hard to avoid being hit by. And then there are also these guys that, like, they see you and they're like scared as shit of you, so they just throw a can of like pop at you, and then if they miss you with it, they'll just run away, and then they'll stop for a few seconds and then throw another can and then run further away, and so you got to chase them down and beat them to death.
I'll never get used to calling it pop.
Well, you know, it's an Ohio thing. We call it pop here.
Nerd.
There are also deadly robots that have saw blades attached to their arms for some reason, because, you know, it's not weird enough that you're trying to escape this place. You got to add robots and weird experimental scientists who want to help you by killing people, but really they're trying to figure out how to stop death completely. And so it's an interesting concept. You'll come across bosses in the game that are pretty interesting and fun, and they have little unique twists to them. Like, there was this one boss that I faced. I'll say the first boss so that don't give anything away too much. The first boss you face is like a robotic dinosaur-like thing, and when you find him, he'll do an attack, and then he'll be stunned for a second, and the first thing you got to do is pull out your screwdriver and try to unscrew his thing, and you'll have to do that 3 times, and then you unscrew his back ports so that every time you attack him, you can now damage him. And it's pretty interesting, the concept of like having to do that for that boss battle and never having to do that again, or at least not within the time that I had played. And I just think that's interesting that they throw in a different concept for each boss.
Yeah,
I found the
fresh.
It does. I found the dialogue entertaining, and the noises that they make, because they don't actually talk, they just make like the mouth noises. They weren't annoying, but they were weird. Like, it wasn't a bad one, but it just felt like interesting. And like, why, if you can talk into a mic, I just never understand why games do that. If you have a mic there to make the noises, why not just say the words?
A stylistic thing that you would rather.
I guess
you would rather have generic, like, gibberish noise than have people bitch about your voice acting.
Yeah, but people will bitch about the weird noises too. Case in point. The look to this game is really like odd. Like, at first I wasn't a fan of the way the game looked, because it's really cartoonish and like not in a way that looked great until you get used to it, and then it's like, this game doesn't actually look that bad. You just got to get used to the way it looks. And if you look at the screenshots on Steam, you'll know exactly what I mean. It's just an odd looking game. I did not know that this game released on PlayStation 4. So that's pretty cool. I wish it would have came to Xbox as well. That would have been fun. Aside from that, there's not much more to say. Like, it's a pretty fun game. It has an interesting cast of characters. Oh, it's very modern as well. You in the game, you're allowed to select what gender you are and then which gender you like. So I'm guessing that towards the
that was a nice twist, or a nice, not twist, but a nice touch.
Yeah, so it's like, if you're a male, you don't have to be into females in the game. Which, I mean, at this point, I haven't really come across the point in which that has been important. But I still think that that's a cool idea. They don't shoehorn you into being a specific way, which in the modern day and age is nice. It's 2017, people. And this game released in 2017, so it knows what it's doing. $12.99 was a bit more than I was expecting the game to be, but it's not a bad price. Like, at least it's not like trying to get $20. Yeah. $12.99 is a fair price for the game. I was expecting it to be $9.99, so it's not much more.
Yeah, $3.
It's not that big of a difference to make me change how I feel about the game. Right now, I got to give it a very recommended try it. It's fun. I forgot to mention that you will get lost and stuck, and you'll have to try to figure things out, because it is a bit confusing. There are some puzzle elements to it. Yeah. And that's a complaint. Sometimes if you go into a room and you go too far, you can't go back. The only way to go back and try to retry that area, if you get stuck, is to just kill yourself.
Oh, God.
And then you load back at the at a janitor's book, because the way you save in this game is you have to go to a book and save there. Like, it doesn't just auto-save before rooms, or you can't just select to save whenever you want. You have to hit a certain point and save there. But still, I mean, I give it a very recommended try it. I think it's a pretty fun game for the price. And it's an interesting concept. It's funny, but it's also like, why is it funny? Like, is it trying to be funny, or is it trying to be serious?
Yeah, I dabbled with it briefly on the PS4 version of the game. I didn't get to put too much time into it, but I thought it was really enjoyable. So
it was definitely fun.
Definitely something I want to go back to and revisit. I did pull up my email that I talked with the developer, Ben Cook. He said, no Xbox One version of the game yet, but if people like the game, I'd love to make one. So it's not anything that's out of the question. So it's definitely something that could happen.
That'd be fun. I hope it does. I think it would be a cool game to throw onto the Xbox One.
Yeah, I'd be down for it. I'd like to see it.
I'd definitely give it another playthrough. Just, why not? It's on Xbox. Get some achievements while I'm at it.
True. Anyway, next game to talk about. We're going to do a 2-pack here of PlayStation VR games. First up is Nog, developed by Co-op Studios, published by Double Fine, released May 2nd on PS4 for $14.99. Includes VR content and recommended to play in VR, but it is not required, which is a nice little addition for this game. Nog is a 3D puzzle game set in a tactile world of toys and secrets. Point, click, grab, poke, spin, pull, and play with uniquely charming monster heads and explore the hidden worlds inside them from your couch or face-to-face in stunning PlayStation VR. Filled with eye-catching designs, playful interactions, and a rich, reactive soundtrack, the handcrafted heads come to life in your hands. This game is probably one of the coolest VR games I've played on the system. It is basically a line of puzzle boxes where you start off with one stage and it doesn't give you any kind of direction. You just figure out what you could click and what you could play with, and you got to figure out how to do everything and progress everything so that you can complete the box. Whether it's
so, is it like a puzzle room then? Where do you know what those are?
Yeah, like the escape the room kind of things.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, is it like that?
Kind of. Each one is like its own self-contained little world. It has a front and a back. The first thing you got to do is figure out how to open it. And once you open it, you got to figure out what's going on inside. They'll have random hints here or there. I'll go with one example was there were 2 items that you had to fish out from the water below the box. There was like a little scuba diver that you would rotate and drop down in there, and you would pull them up. And they both had to be unlocked. One had 3 dials that you had to line up properly, and the other had 4 dials that had to be like clock, kind of like hands on a clock, just turned to a certain direction. And you had to figure out how they would be. And if you're not paying attention, you wouldn't know what you're doing. But when the scuba diver dude was going down, you would pass by these little cards or these little displays that would have just a random symbol and then like some dots. And that would kind of fill you in on, it's got to be the third one on this chest has got to be turned this way. And then once you would get those, the thing would unlock, and then they would be for something on the front, but then you have to figure out how to activate them. And it's puzzle after puzzle after puzzle after puzzle, but it doesn't really, there's no hand holding, which I like. It's just fuck around and figure it out.
That's cool.
So, really enjoyable game. Visually, the game is absolutely gorgeous. Everything has like a paper cutout visual style to it. Stark colors. The music in the game is fantastic. When you complete levels, it's like a kaleidoscope of colors and shapes and designs. It is just an absolutely awesome visual experience in VR. It looks fine if you're not playing in VR, but I could see why it's recommended to play it in VR with the 3D effects, and it is just such a gorgeous game. A beautiful, gorgeous game. Content-wise, it feels slightly light on content. There are 9 of the boxes that you could complete. When you're done replaying them, there's not really a reason to replay them because you've already done them. You've already figured it out. Each of the boxes has some kind of little hidden trophy in there. Like the scuba diving one, if you would go all the way down to the bottom of the ocean, you would find like a hidden monster there, and that's a trophy. And each of the stages has its own unique hidden trophy that you can unlock. But for the most part, once you complete a box, you're done. You don't really need to go back to it. Even still, for $15, if you own a PlayStation VR, this is a buy it.
Holy shit, that was a rush. I had to try to get to Skype and mute my mic right before I sneezed so loudly, and I got it.
If you don't have a PlayStation VR, I would still give the game a try it because it's a lot of fun, but so much of the charm and goodness is in that VR and in the 3D of the game. So,
Well, that seems like most VR games. Like, once you have a game that's in VR, why would you want to go back?
Yeah. But it's good that if you don't have a PlayStation VR, you could still enjoy the game, because it's a really cool game.
That's true. I do prefer the option because, like, people like me that don't want to drop that much money to be able to play VR can still enjoy the game.
True. But yeah, buy it. Good stuff. Awesome stuff. Buy it, love it, and enjoy it forever. Next game, the other PSVR game of the week is called Moonshot Galaxy, developed by Liftoff Labs, published by Big Fish Games, released May 9th on PlayStation VR for $9.99. It is also available on Steam for Vive and Rift for only $4.99 there. Play your way through planetary challenges and exotic branches of the galaxy at your own pace. Designed for comfort, anyone can pick it up and play it, though reaching the top of the leaderboards will put your skills to the test. The polished presentation and endlessly addictive gameplay of Moonshot Galaxy make it an excellent choice for VR veterans and newbies alike. This is basically golf. Space golf with gravitational pull. It is very interesting. Every hole of the golf course is basically a planet, and
awesome.
It starts off easy enough where there's just a normal round planet, and you have to pick up the ball. It's played with the Move controller, so each of the controllers basically translates to like a little claw that you can pick things up, or you could grab the planet or the world and like rotate it and twist it and turn it, and then you use a claw to grab the ball, and you kind of move it in the arc that you would want it to go. There's a kind of like a ghost arc that shows you the path it's going to go, and you just got to get it in the hole. Clearly, as you go through the game, the holes and the layouts get more complex. It's a really, really fun game, but it's one of those games that is just hurt by the detection of the PlayStation camera. It seems,
of course. It seems like that happens every week, at least one game.
It really does. It is such a fun game, but I'll be holding a planet in place, and then like my claw hand is just like juddering back and forth, and I'm like, what the... It's frustrating when there's really cool games out there on PlayStation VR, but just the technical limitations of the PlayStation camera and the Move controllers hinder it. It wasn't enough to make me want to stop playing the game because it was a lot of fun. It's basically space mini golf.
Which is awesome. Mini golf is always fun.
It really is. For $10, especially on VR, for $10, it's cheap enough that it's definitely something that most VR owners are going to want to pick up and just have as like a party game, or your brother's coming over and he's never done VR before. Oh, this is a cool showcase for it. I'm not sure why it's so much more expensive compared to the Steam version. I'm guessing that just the added development of having to learn a new platform and get it working on there just...
some games just have that console tax as well. Yeah,
true.
Some games release more expensive on console, and it's weird, but
very true. For $10 though, it's definitely a recommend to try it. If you have Vive or Oculus, it would probably be better to get it on Steam just because it's half the price on there. But if you've only got PlayStation VR, it's still only $10.
Yeah.
For VR,
$10 isn't bad.
VR, $10 might even be fuck it, why not pricing. Because the, VR tax is a real thing.
That's true, yeah. Any game that's VR is almost double the price of what it would have been without VR.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun, though. I had a lot of fun with it. I wish the PlayStation camera and Move controllers weren't so janky sometimes.
Yeah, but that's not... Yeah. Sadly, it's not even the developer's fault. It's just Sony's.
It's just technical limitations, but... I don't know. That's something else that I talk about with Alex of LucidSound, we get into VR stuff. So yeah, check out the show on Monday.
Yeah, I might just listen to it.
You should. It's good stuff. Except for me, I'm the shitty part. Anyway, final game to talk about tonight is called World to the West, developed by Rain Games, published by Sedesco. Released May 5th on Xbox One and PS4 for $29.99, Steam for $19.99, and a Wii U version is slated for future release. It was supposed to release same day, but it just got delayed last second. World of the West is a standalone follow-up to Teslagrad, the indie hit that sold more than 1.6 million copies worldwide. A vast world of blue skies and dark caves await you in this 3D action adventure as you try to unveil the mysteries of an ancient prophecy. Teslagrad was a lot like a Metroidvania style game.
Yeah.
But this is a lot more like a Zelda style game, like the top-down, old-school Zelda games, action adventure. The big draw here is there are 4 different characters that you can play as in the game, and it's basically the game turns into 4 games at once because each of the characters has their own goals and their own unique stories that you've got to go through, and there's going to be times where you have to switch between characters because you'll be controlling 2 at the same time. And it's just a cool way to keep the story fresh as you're going through it. Burping. That's always fun.
Yeah. It's always a great time.
Hey, I'm talking a lot this episode. So.
I know, I feel bad. But what am I going to do? It's not like I can just get work to review my games.
Play more shit. Oh, man.
Yeah, I'll get on telling my manager that it's like, I'm sorry, I can't. I gotta play a game. I'm sure she'll appreciate that.
Yeah. So, like I said, gameplay is in the vein of the Zelda games. It is a beautiful, beautiful game. It is a semi-sequel to Teslagrad. It takes place in the same universe with some familiar faces, but it's not like the same character from Teslagrad. God, I just lost my train of thought.
It happens. At least it wasn't. I mean, if Eternal had been reviewing a game this episode, it would have happened 5 times. So you're
true.
Okay.
The 4 different characters that you encounter through the game, there's like a little boy that lives in caves and thinks that he lives on the moon, like beneath the surface of the moon. There is a Teslamancer that is transported to this weird world that needs to find a way back home. There's like a strong man who is also a clone. And then there is, what is it? I think a treasure hunter is the last one, who was betrayed by her boss. So that's, you have to, all the stories will eventually like intertwine and interconnect and everything else. A lot of exploration, a lot of stuff to do in the game. My biggest gripe with it is the backtracking. There are tons and tons of checkpoints and warp points in the game so that once you've been in an area, it is easy to get back there. But the biggest problem is if you activate a warp point with one character, it doesn't activate it for another character. So you'll have to figure a way through an area to get to a warp point or a checkpoint, and then you have to switch to the other character and get there again, possibly in a different way.
I mean, it's cool that it's a different way at least, but that's still annoying.
It's just the backtracking felt kind of irritating, of like, well, I just went through this area and oh god, I can't get through this area without the other characters, so let me walk back to this other one, switch back to them, leave and come back to this area and then switch back to the other one because there's 2 of the checkpoints in this one area, so I have to switch between the 2 and then switch to the other one, kill the enemies, switch back to the other one who doesn't have an actual attack yet so I can make it through. There's just a lot of needless padding, it feels, with the backtracking in the game.
Yeah, that would be annoying.
But it's still a blast. You know, Teslagrad was a lot of fun. World of the West is just, it's a new perspective, but it has that same charm to it that Teslagrad did. The art style is awesome. I loved the character designs in Teslagrad, so to have that same visual presentation is great. This is going to be fun for achievement hunters. The majority of the achievements, like Teslagrad, are tied to collectibles. Have you played Teslagrad?
No, I have not.
The way that worked is that there were like 20 some collectibles hidden around that you would have to, a lot of them you would have to figure out these weird puzzles to, platforming puzzles or something else. And once you collected it, like that collectible was the achievement.
I see that that's pretty much the same. I'm looking through the achievement list now on Worlds of the West.
Yeah.
And wow, yeah, every achievement pretty much is
except
like discover.
For like one or two of them are just discover this artifact, discover this artifact, discover this artifact.
There's 2 secrets that I haven't revealed because I don't want to spoil anything for myself. They might be story ones.
It's probably just like complete the game.
Yeah.
Overall, for $25, the price seems kind of steep, but considering you're getting kind of like 4 games in one, it makes a bit of sense. It's another one of those things where I don't know why the Steam version is $5 cheaper. We've seen that before with Sedesco games where the Steam version will be cheaper than the console release, and I don't know if it's like the
probably cheaper
development
to
time
develop.
needed. Yeah. I know that's something that the developed Tequila Works with the game Rhyme are facing with the Switch version of the game, where the Switch version was $10 more than everything else.
Yeah, that's weird. Like, at that point, if you own something else, why would you buy it on the Switch?
Yeah, well, they actually, I guess this could have been news of the week, but the Tequila Works made an announcement that they're lowering the digital version of Rhyme on the Switch to the same $29.99 as everywhere else, but they can't change the price of the physical version, or they would be
but at least then you're
losing
getting
money.
the physical.
So
Yeah.
what they're doing with that is the physical version, they're going to include a download code for the soundtrack.
See, that's cool. And with the physical version, you're paying that like ability to have it with you and actually be able to have a case and show off the artwork and put it in your collection.
Yeah, but still, for the $25 that World to the West is on consoles, I got to give it a try, a recommended try. It's a lot of fun. It's a beautiful game. There's a lot to do in there. The backtracking elements can get kind of irritating. But when everything comes together and you're using the different characters and going through all these different cool looking caves and puzzles that you got to solve, it's just, it works really well and it's a good time.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, good stuff. I have talked way too much today.
Yeah. Well, that was the last review game you said, so
yeah.
There's that. You can finally quit in about a minute.
Between this show, the interview from earlier that you weren't here for, the other interview that I recorded for next week, there's just a lot of talking today.
Yeah, it's been a talkative day for you. You're probably not going to have your voice tomorrow.
Who knows? But yeah, that's it for this episode. Music, fuck. I really got to start thinking about what music I'm gonna play. I don't know what I'm gonna play.
Yeah, that makes sense. The thing is, there's no music to play. Like, just what are you gonna play? You got to figure it out. It's just like, do any of these games have a soundtrack that you can easily access to put it on? And are you gonna have to deal with content claiming, even though the show doesn't make enough money to really make that a problem anyway? It's like they claim your thing. Oh no, you lose a few pennies, but still.
I'm looking at my desktop. I have the Tiberian Suns album, Collateral Jamage. I'm just gonna play a handful of songs from that. And yes, Collateral Jamage, not damage.
Yeah, I heard it.
So
I'm more so interested in the name Tiberian Suns, like the Command and Conquer games.
Yes. But instead of SUNS, it's SONS. Suns.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to play some stuff from the Tiberian Suns. We will be back with a new episode probably Monday or Tuesday, depending on how the weekend recording schedule goes. But thanks for hanging out. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at the SML Podcast. Make sure to keep up to date there for all our giveaways. Make sure to enter those Gleam giveaways before they end on Sunday. And thanks for listening. CJ, end the show with final words that you don't have, and I don't give a shit.
Well, if you don't give a shit, you should also follow me on Twitter at